Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Frank returns to the lineup. The Fizz kids almost bring us back, but fall a little bit short. Let's go. Knicks family, what's poppin' with you? Happy Saturday to you. Hope you had a good weekend, or your weekend is going good. My weekend so far has been going great. I was unable to do the pregame earlier because I was out, getting my Christmas tree. Bought like a 9-foot Christmas tree. So we're gonna have a time decorating that, but that's cool. We're gonna decorate it Tuesday night. All the family's coming over. We do it every year. All the family comes over, decorate the Christmas tree, hot chocolate, cookies, all that kind of stuff. Cheesy Christmas music playing. It's fun though. It's fun. So that's why I couldn't do the pregame. But that's cool. That's okay. I got to sit down, watch the game with my daughter. My daughter and my wife, we just kind of hung out, watched the game. I was disappointed for most of the game because the Knicks were playing lousy. The Knicks were playing just lousy. I guess I'll say it again. Uninspired, lazy, and then all of a sudden, fourth quarter comes, or third quarter comes, and the Fizz kids, the real Fizz kids, are all in the game together. And you see the energy pick up. And you see things begin to change. And all of a sudden, the Fizz kids bring the team back, and we're down by 5. Dotson drives to the basket and misses a key layup. Not that it's his fault. It was in the hoop, and then it bounced its way back out. And that was kind of the turning point of the game, right? That was the turning point of the game. Well, the turning point in the fourth quarter, that kind of halted the Knicks' comeback. I think if that layup is made, then we probably, I don't know if we win the game, but then it's a 3-point game. The Nets probably call another timeout. The game is maybe changed a little bit, but, it is what it is. That's how it goes sometimes. I got Viv in the video chat. I'm pretty sure some other people are going to join the video chat. You want to join the video chat? Appear.in/NBK. I'll let you know when the lines are open up to call. When they are opened up, you can call me at 516-405-2246. But I'm going to bring Viv on over. Let's talk about this. Talk about what you're seeing tonight, Viv. What's poppin', Viv?
Tim, how are you doing, Jeff?
I'm good, man. How's your weekend been so far?
Weekend's been good. Can't complain.
Good. What you think about the game?
Well, I think the game was pretty. You can pretty much, if you didn't watch the game and you want to watch it on MSG on the replay, what I'd suggest you do is wait until maybe the third quarter with about 3.5 minutes left.
Right.
When the team was down 15, they decided to bring Frank back after having 3 straight DNPs, and it was on the verge of getting his 4th. Mm-hmm. The moment he was brought back in the game, to some fans' insistence, they were telling Fizz in the Garden, bring Frank in the game. So the moment he came in the game, I felt like everything changed. That 15-point lead, even though they lost by 8 points,
about 8
they
points.
pretty much cut that lead to, they made the game a lot more interesting, a lot more watchable. And no, not just because Frank was out there, but it's just the fact that they played a lot more tenacity. Tenacity. And you just notice it in like some of the little things. They, you saw Frank. He played with a lot of what do you call it? He just moved. He moved a lot faster when he was had the ball in his hands. They were the defense was a lot energetic out there, that lineup, and there's a lot of positive things. I know we're gonna go into it, but basically to sum it up, just watch from the 3-minute mark and just go from there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna ask you a question, and we got the entertainer that just joined us. Entertainer, what's popping, man?
Can't hear.
Can't hear me? I can hear you.
I can hear you. Ken.
But we
I'm gonna.
I can hear you.
Can't hear.
Can't hear.
can't hear.
I'm gonna pop out. I'll come back in.
All right, cool. We I do have a question I want to ask about that, because it is natural for everyone to say it was Frank, and was it really Frank, or is it just the energy that, because he hadn't played and people want him to play, and then he, now he's coming in, and now there's a new electricity in the crowd, right? There's a new electricity in the team, because like, okay, we got one of our guys back, let's play, right? Is it that, or was it Frank himself?
I think it'd be a combination of both. It's not necessarily one or the other. I think obviously to see one of the youngins just come back into the lineup after being on the bench for 3 straight games, as a young player, I'm sure that's very electrifying, and to have the crowd behind you, that energy just spreads like that. So part of it could be Frank came in and you just brought that level of energy there. But at the same time, I think what made him, I guess, the integral part is that it allowed everyone else to kind of relax in a sense and go back to what they were good at to one perspective. And I think the biggest beneficiary was Alonzo Trier, because Trier's not naturally a point guard, and we saw it the last few games where he had a very hard time both offensively and defensively. First by creating for others and having that pressure create for others, and secondly, having to defend, some of the elite ball handlers, in the league. I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy for Trier, and having relegating yourself back to the 2 eases some of that pressure defensively, and it also eases that pressure offensively. So then he can just focus on one thing, and that's just scoring. And I felt like that happened. And a third thing, I think, just defensively, just adding Frank's height there, it adds a whole different dimension, because the defense is a lot tougher. You could tell that the Frank and Mitch combination on defense is almost lethal. They were stopping everything. They could switch, they could trap, they were just doing everything. Mitch can recover very quickly, and they forced 3 24-second shot clock violations in the 4th quarter alone. And you could see how dangerous that defensive lineup was, and you can even see someone like Kevin Knox getting himself involved in the defensive end. His length and who was coming into play, deflecting passes, and just trapping and helping. And it just sometimes when you have that main anchor of your defense at the point, I feel like your defensive energy and defensive awareness becomes a lot better, because once a point guard is able to slow down the game a little bit, then no one else has to they don't have to recover all the time. They can just focus on being great man to man, and we saw the difference. It's just there on the tape.
Okay. All right, let's do a quick summary of the game. We'll do a quick summary, and then we'll get back and we'll talk about Frank's return to the court, and talk about the Fizz Kid lineup. I really love this Fizz Kid lineup, and I really want to see it more. I don't think this is the first time that group has been together on the floor, but it hasn't been together that much. There's always been Trey Burke or somebody out there with this lineup. So we'll get back and we'll talk about the Fizz Kid lineup. But let's do a quick recap summary of the game. The Knicks, they were basically they were sluggish. They were within an earshot. They did get to a point where they were down like 17 points or whatever it was. They lost the first quarter 30-23. Second quarter still down 26-22, so they were down 11 points at the half. Again, third quarter lost. I mean, they're contending and competing in each quarter, but they're losing each quarter, and those, the lead continues to grow. And so now at the end of the third quarter, you're looking at a 17-point lead. All right, fourth quarter, the Fizz Kid group is in. and you see the lead begin to dwindle. That energy is there. Frank comes into the game after not being in for a while, and fans are behind Frank. Soon as he got the ball and he's beginning to control the offense, and you hear the fans cheer, right? Because they want to see him. And part of it is because he's a young guy that they want to see on the floor, right? The Knicks' biggest lead was 4. The Nets 19. Also, it was a 19-point lead was the biggest lead. We lost the rebounding battle. Assists. The Knicks had 22 assists tonight. The Nets had 27. The Knicks had 8 steals. The Nets 5 steals, 5 blocks for the Nets, 2 for the Knicks, 12 turnovers for both teams. You know what the story was for the Knicks? We shot 60% from the free throw line. We missed 12 free throws tonight. All right, we lost this game. What was the score again? 112-104. I mean, we shaved a 19-point game, a 19-point lead down to 5. If we make, the Nets shot 60% as well. Right? But forget about what the Nets did. If we make half of the free throws that we missed, the game is entirely different. Right? It is entirely different coming down the stretch. So we missed 12. So if we make 6 of those free throws to go 24 for 30, now you're looking at a game. Now you're looking at a 2-point difference coming down the stretch of that game, and who knows what happens from there. Right? But, as it is, there's always going to be something. When you have a team like ours, there's always going to be something that prevents you from pulling out a win, whether it be rebounds, execution down the stretch, free throws, something. The Knicks shot 47% from the field, 30.8% from 3. The Nets, also lousy from the free throw line, with 60%. Shot 50% from 3, 48.9% from the field. All right, looking at the box score, of course, for the Knicks, a lot of, people are going to point out Frank Ntilikina, so we can go ahead and scroll down to him. He played 15 minutes, 7 points, 3 for 6 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, one rebound, 3 assists, and 1 turnover. It was a +7. And he only played with one group, right? He only played with one group. Mario Hezonja, going back to the top. Mario Hezonja, 26 minutes, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. He's 4 for 8 from the field. Noah Vonleh had 4 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. And that's Cantor, 23 points, 14 rebounds. Tim Hardaway Jr., another horrible night from the field. And Tim Hardaway Jr. fans can, get mad at me all they want. But Tim Hardaway, it's time for Tim Hardaway. And I've seen some people say it in the chat. It's time for Tim Hardaway to be held accountable, man. And I know Viv was saying earlier, that Viv, he's seen Tim Hardaway get snatched out a little bit more. I want to see more than him just getting snatched out. Just about everyone has gone through points this season where they've been benched or their playing time has been very little. Everyone except for Tim Hardaway. And I'll keep harping on this every single show. I don't care. And people can get mad at me all they want. I don't care. I am tired of seeing this guy shoot poor percentages night after night after night. And he's not being held accountable. Now, tonight, he played 22 minutes. I don't know if that was a product of, because he was shooting bad, or Fish just decided on going with the young guys for the rest of this game. Right? Which one was it? Because he shot 16.7% from the field tonight. He's shooting below 40% for the season. You know what I'm saying? Below 40%. It's terrible. Right now, I think the last I looked, he was at 38%. He's probably going to be somewhere down towards 37% now. His minutes need to start slipping too. Hold him accountable too. If you're going to hold everyone else accountable and you're going to give everyone else DNPs, and I'm not saying go directly to, starting and playing 20, 30 minutes a game to a DNP. It's happened with other people. It happened with Damian Dotson. But dwindle his minutes, just like he did everybody else. And then all of a sudden, bam, don't play him. See how he responds. If your theory is that sitting guys is what is making them come back and play better, because they get that fire in them because they don't want to sit, because they're upset, because they're mad, or they feel threatened that their position is gone, well then hold him accountable too, because nothing should be guaranteed for Tim Hardaway Jr. He has done nothing in this league to earn the right to have that kind of leadway. I don't care. He's done nothing in his league to earn that right. You know what I'm saying? If he was a playoff tested warrior, right, that had been around for years doing, winning or competing hard and playing in playoff games and playoff battles and was tried, true, and tested, then I'd say, okay, he deserves to be out there, but he doesn't. He doesn't deserve that kind of leadway, right? And I'm going to get off my horse on it. I ain't going to go too long on it, but I don't believe he deserves that kind of leadway, that you put him out there no matter what. My opinion. Emmanuel Mudiay, 13 points, 4 assists, 3 turnovers, played 25 minutes. Kevin Knox played 20 minutes. I think he had all of his points in that stretch between the third and fourth quarter. 7 points, 3 for 6 from the field, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Damian Dotson, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Alonzo Trier, 15 points, 2 rebounds, no assists, 3 turnovers. Mitchell Robinson, 4 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. Courtney Lee only played 3 minutes. Ron Baker, Luke Cornett did not play at all. All right, that's the quick summary of the game. And I don't know. I want to know what you guys think about it. I'm gonna come to you. I want to know what you guys think about Tim Hardaway. This Tim Hardaway deal. That I just brought up. Entertainer, can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Yeah, I think I just fixed the settings in the appearance. That's what the problem was.
Cool.
So yeah, my take on the. You want me to start with Timmy? Is that what we're talking about right now?
Yeah. I just want to know. I mean,
okay. Timmy sucks. I'll tell you that right now. Timmy, he does, for lack of a better word. The guy's shooting 38%, and I knew he was going to shoot a worse percent this year. When KP was out, because now the defense, he's the focal point, and he was shooting 42% last year or 41 with KP. I knew it was going to be worse. 38% is awful, and Frank's not any better. He's 33%. He's even worse. But at least, as I think BN said in the chat, at least Frank plays defense. Right. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a joke. The fact that we're paying this guy $17 million a year to shoot 38%, and everybody's going to look at the points. They say he puts up 22 points. Well, when you put up that many shots, a lot of players could score 22 points. You give Dotson that many shots, he's going to put up 22 points.
Yep. Right. And the thing, you mentioned Frank. At least Frank is only pulling seven shots a game.
Well, exactly. He's not. His percentage doesn't affect it as much because he's putting up less than half the amount of shots that Hardaway does. I'm not. You and I, we talk about this off camera. I'm not the biggest Frank guy, and I think Frank deserves to be benched. He has not lived up. He is not developed this year. He's taken a step back. He was 37% last year, shooting 33% this year. But the fact that Fizdale has not played him for 4 games. I mean, he played him in the fourth quarter of this game, but almost 4 full games is a joke. I'm starting to question Fizdale as a coach. I'm being honest with you. That's why I came on the show. I'm getting aggravated as a Knicks fan.
And I'm not even upset. I mean, if anyone knows that, benching a player can help them to develop, I know, right? I get it. It can. You bench a player, they understand now. They understand all of a sudden, right? You're telling a player, you're preaching to a player, you need to box out. Right? You need to do this. You need to do that. They don't get it, but you're keeping them on the floor, so they don't get it. All of a sudden, you put them on the bench. Now they're like, oh, okay, maybe I need to do what coach says. Right?
Yeah.
I get that.
But
definitely.
The way I look at it is the guy's 20 years old. And I'll be the first to say it. Right now, he is an awful offensive player. I don't think the biggest Frank supporter would say otherwise. But he's 20 years old, and this is a developmental year. That's what this has become at this point. We're not going to the playoffs. We're 8-19. Our team, we're thinking about the ping pong balls right now, and we should be trying to develop our players the best we can. And the fact that he has sat out now 5% of the season, because that's what 4 games is. They have sat him out for 5% of the season in a developmental year where he could be learning to play better. If you're not going to play him in the pros, send him down to the G League. That's my take on it. If you're going to sit him out for 4 games, send him down to the G League where you get 30 minutes and learn to play. He's doing nothing. I'm learning as much as he is. He's doing as much work on the court as I have the last 4 games.
Right. And when it, talking about developing the team and building a culture, if you're building a culture that says you eat what you kill, right? That's the culture. You eat what you kill. Then Tim Hardaway needs to be held to that standard as well, because he's not killing anything. He's not killing.
I mean, he's done it to everybody else. Cantor's making a ton of money, and Cantor, going into the year, we all said he was going to be an all-star. He was going to put up all-star numbers. He benched Cantor. Why can't he bench Timmy Hardaway? I don't understand it.
Right.
I'd rather see Dotson out there. Dotson's an all-around player, exactly. and he's not going to shoot 38%.
Yeah. He Tim Hardaway. Look, if he's out there hunting, you talk about eat what you kill. He has shot all of his arrows, and the only thing he's hit is a small rabbit. So that's what you eat. Everybody else is hitting deer, bucks out there, whatever. You hit a rabbit, you eat that rabbit. Don't touch this over here. Seriously. And it bothers. Yeah. It just bothers me because you've got to, if you're setting a culture and it's going to be a culture of discipline. Right, everyone's got to be held accountable to the same standard.
Yeah, right? I mean, who was Timmy Hardaway? I don't even remember. Was he a 2nd round pick? He was either late. He was a late first though, right? Late first. So this guy, he did well. He did well with the Hawks when he got his opportunity, but. This guy, he's a nobody. Let's be real. They paid a guy who should be making $10, $12 million a year, $17 million, because they were lunatics. I don't know what they were thinking. They made that mistake. Now they're making it worse by playing this guy. They're playing this guy when he should be on the bench. Yeah. 38% when you're shucking up 20+ shots a game, it's inexcusable, especially when the guy can't play defense worth a lick. He gets lost in the pick and roll every time they come down the floor. I'm not a fan of Hardaway. I haven't been a fan since they got him, but the last 10 games, 12 games, it's been amplified.
Yeah, it definitely has. It's been amplified, but he continues to stay out there on the floor. And I get that Fizz says he's trying to turn him into, an elite player. But Tim Hardaway is not going to be, in my opinion, he's not going to be an elite player. He just isn't. He's too streaky of a player.
Yeah. He's at bad. And I'm not going to say he can't be a productive bench player. He could be an elite 6-man if he learns to become a more efficient scorer. And maybe when KP's out there, you have more weapons. He probably will shoot more efficiently on a better basketball team. But he is not, in my opinion, a starter on a good basketball team. He's not.
No, he's not. He's definitely not. I just seen someone say that they want to know the plus minus. I'll give you the plus minus real quick. The reason why I don't always do the plus minus though is because, a lot depends on who you play with while you're on the floor.
And usually I just heard an echo. Usually with the Knicks, everybody's a minus.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a useless stat for the Knicks this year. Everybody's like a minus 20 every game, the last 5-6 games.
So tonight, Mario Hezonja is a minus 14. Noah Vonleh a minus 7. Inez Cantor minus 9. Tim Hardaway Jr. minus 9. Emmanuel Mudiay minus 9. Kevin Knox was a plus 1. Damian Dotson minus 1. Which, Damian Dotson, and that's one of the reasons right there that the plus minus can be a little bit iffy. Damian Dotson, he played well tonight. 5 for 10 from the field, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. We know he's a decent defender, but because he played with some of the group that was lazy, but he also played with the young guys, he's a -1 instead of being in the positive. So Alonzo Trier, positive 5. Mitchell Robinson, -1. Courtney Lee, -3. He only played 3 minutes. Frank Ntilikina, a positive 7. And of course, Ntilikina only played with one group.
Right. Dotson to me has been probably the most pleasant surprise on this team this year.
Yeah.
Dotson and Vonleh. Those have been the two. Yeah, those have been the two bright spots. And Moutier has shown flashes. So those have probably been the three guys who I would say have exceeded expectations on this team this year. The rest of the team has probably not even met expectations. It's been a very disappointing year for me. I mean, some of that has to do with injuries with Knox and Frank. Frank has not progressed. He's not progressed to the point where I want him to be at this point. And that's the whole team, though. Cantor's been horrible on defense. The three guys I will say that have progressed are Dotson, Moutier, and Vonleh.
Yeah, and one of the thing, with Frank, I feel part of it is not having a defined role on the team. I feel like that's part of it. I just can't express how important it is to know what your role is to be able to play well, because when you don't know what your role is, then you're always thinking on the court instead of playing off of instinct. And I think right now, because he started at the 3 and then he was moved to the 2, right? And then he started at the 3, then he was moved to the 1 for a little while, and then he's off the bench coming in at the 1, at the 2, or the 3. I understand that you want to have players that can play different positions, but I think he's a baby. I think you gotta give him a defined role and try to let him develop in that role, and then once he's developed in that role and you're comfortable with him there, he's comfortable there, let him expand out. Because you see the same thing right now with Trier. When you put Trier at that point guard position, so many people complained about things that Frank did at the point guard position with just being passively passing the ball to the guy coming down the floor and this and that. Trier trying to learn this point guard position, you see him doing the same things because he's thinking on the floor. He's trying to figure out how to do it. When you finally let him loose and play on the wing, play what he's comfortable doing, then you see he can go to the basket and do that. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that he's learning how to play that position, but you can just see the difference.
I actually disagree with what you said about Trier. I think it is a bad thing because I don't think he's a point guard. I don't think they should. I don't think he should be learning to play point guard at all because he's never going to be a point guard. The guy is not a point guard. He's a guy that his only role in the NBA, if he's going to be successful, is a guy that scores off the bench. That's what he is, and he's good at it. But they shouldn't be making him a point guard because he's not a point guard. And the thing you said, and the thing that Sim said about Frank, I agree with. I think that the fact that they're putting him in different positions is screwing with his head. He's 20 years old. He's still learning. Yeah. But I will say this. I don't like to make excuses for Frank. A lot of people are saying if KP was in there, they'd be better in the pick and roll. And everybody's got their opinion. That's what's great about sports. My take on it is if you're a good player, you find ways to be good. And I don't like the people saying he's shooting 33% because they don't have the pick and roll. No, he's shooting 33% because he's not good yet. He's not a good offensive player yet, and he needs to learn. The only way he's going to learn is if he plays.
Yeah, he's shooting 33% because he's not a good shooter.
Yeah,
that's the way I say it, because his shots have, and that's my whole thing about when people say he should go to the G League, that's going to help him get better. I disagree that that's going to help him get better because he's just not a good shooter right now. He's had wide open shots from the 3-point line, and he's missed them wide open. If you're wide open, I mean, that 3-point line doesn't change from the G League to the NBA.
The one thing, and I agree with what you just said, that the 3-point line doesn't change. But one thing I will say, it may help him build his confidence. And I know it's a different sport, but if I was a coach of a team, I would use the G League similar to the minor leagues in baseball. If a player is not performing, you send him down to the minor leagues, you try to get his confidence back up. And I mean, the best baseball players of all time have been sent down to the major leagues. Ted Williams is an example.
Yeah.
I feel like it might not be a bad idea if they're not going to play him. It might not be a bad idea to send him down there to help build his confidence up. That's my take. I don't know the contract. I think Viv was about to explain that to me. I don't know the contract implications or anything.
Yeah, I don't think it's a confidence. I really don't. I don't think it's a confidence thing. I think it's more of indecision, not exactly knowing what to do at certain spots where it's just going to take experience from him. I see him sometimes where he's not sure if he wants to shoot it or not shoot it. And that really comes from experience and playing. I really don't think he lacks confidence. I feel like when he decides that he wants to go to the basket, he can get there. When he's shooting that 3, I think he probably feels like it's good. He just isn't a good shooter.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
But that might be this. It might be a skill problem. It might be a skill problem, not a confidence problem. You might be right about that.
And I feel like some people talk about. I don't know. I that's just what I think. I just think that he's not. He's just not a good shooter. He's also indecisive. I don't think being in the G League is going to make him more decisive. I think it's just the experience is what's going to make him more decisive. You seen him tonight when he decided to go, when he said, okay, I'm going to go to the basket. His little left-hand layup, a floater in the lane. When he decided that he's just going to make up his mind to shoot or do whatever. And I think that's one of the biggest issues with him. Is he just hasn't learned how to play that type of a game yet. Really, that's what I think. But I think with Trier, I think it is good for him to learn to play that point guard position, because you're going to be on teams where sometimes, and I'm not saying that he's going to be a full-time point guard, right? Definitely not, because his strength is being able to score the ball, and you want him to play to his strengths. But I think there's going to be times when maybe however his future pans out, there's going to be times when he's going to be asked to be on the ball if you're playing in a system that is supposed to be positionless. And I think that's what Fizz is trying to prepare him for.
I got to be careful bashing Trier. I don't want to bash Trier because I know that his aunt watches the show. And she
listen.
And she was very pretty, by the way. So,
but you know what? To be honest,
I honestly don't think he's a point guard. I don't think he'll ever be a point guard. I don't want to see him running point. I want to see him putting the ball in the basket. That's what he does.
Okay.
That's just my take. And everybody has their own opinion.
Yeah, and listen, I think his aunt, his mother, I think they probably get it. They probably, from what it sounds like, as much as they took him out to prepare him, I'm pretty sure after games he probably, when he had a bad game, I'm pretty sure they gotten his what. I bet you they did.
Yeah, they probably did. By the way, Sim, I know I said I was going to pump out that Ntilikina video to promote your the charity thing. I got so busy at work I wasn't able to do it, but tomorrow in the Giants live stream I'm going to promote it. I'll put the link in the description.
All right, cool, no problem. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Let's get to Ron Cleveland, see what Ron's talking about. Ron, what's popping, man? Hey, Viv, I'm going to unmute you, that way we can have a three-way conversation. Okay. All right. I know some people will be, in the chat. The chat can be ruthless sometimes. So we can have a three-way conversation. I was almost going to say we can have a three-way. We can have a three-way conversation. Okay. I just want to make sure that, the chat.
Tim, before you get to Ron Cleveland, right? Let me explain. I was telling the entertainer, but I was on mute, right? The whole thing with the G League, right? The reason it's all complex is that, unlike in the minor leagues in baseball, like, you got to keep certain players up there just in case, some injury happens and all of a sudden you have no players up. Someone has to play, right? So there's complexity on that end. Second end is that, the games don't match with the NBA schedule. So, like, there's no point sending him down if they're not even playing, because, what good is it if the actual game, if the NBA game is, if they're playing this today and there's no G League game, there's no point sending him down to the G League. The only time it actually makes sense is if you send them to the G League, maybe between, there's multiple days off, right? Say if you're playing today and the next game is, I don't know what, Tuesday or Wednesday, and maybe they have a game on Monday. It maybe makes sense to send them down just for one game, because it's actually up north. So otherwise, it just doesn't make sense, because you never know about injuries.
The only reason I bring up the G League for him is because they're not playing him. If they're gonna start, if they're gonna start playing him 20 minutes a game, leave him here. But if you're not gonna do that,
that's fair. That's a completely fair point. My only thing is that if, say, Trier gets injured, right, then if Trier gets injured, there's no backup point guard then, which means they have no choice. They'd be in a real pickle then.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a fair point.
But
that's the only reason. That's why they have this bad problem. They're stuck there.
Yeah, I do get that. My thing is, I feel like, you should play him and, play him through, help him get through his struggles. But I get it. If you're going to decide, well, just sit him here, then.
But sometimes, what it is, Tim? Like, sometimes another counterpoint is that if you're sitting on the bench, right? If you're sitting next to a coach, right? you can kind of look at it almost like an angle of like a quarterback or like an offensive like a coordinator, right? If you look at the plays from the sidelines, maybe you see things that are a little bit different, right?
You do.
So sometimes you're better off looking at things on like from a big picture. Okay, what do I need to do a little bit better? How is the team running, and how can I like make a difference? Sometimes it's easier seeing it when you're not on the floor, but not saying that this should be the normal. But that's like one vantage point you can also have.
Yeah, and coaches can whisper in your ear, say, "You see that? You see this? This is where you should attack. This is where your shot can come right here." Yeah, that's true, definitely. Ron, what do you think, man?
Man. Spam, I'm gonna tell you, hey, let's just be real, man. Let's just look at it from the outset, man. When I looked at that lineup tonight, it's the same lineup we've been trotting out there. You got Hezonja, you got Hardaway Jr., you got Moutier, you got Vonleh, and you got Kanter. There's only one solid, legit defender in the starting lineup. That's Vonleh. Everybody else is trash can status. I won't even say trash can status, because a trash can is what you got in your house. You know what them boys are, the rest of them boys? They are landfill status. That's how garbage they are. And there was one play in particular tonight. My wife, I know she heard me tonight. I started yelling. It was 4, and I remember it just like yesterday. It was like 4 seconds left on the clock.
I hope you remember like it was yesterday, because it was just a couple hours ago.
Came up and doubled when I was like, the man is covered. Why are you doubling? You need to stay down low and wait for the man that's curling or running to cut to the basket. But he goes up top and double a man that's up top is no threat to get to the basket. And his man come wide open. I'm like, you guys should be kidding me. Hezonja, don't get me started on him. That dude, he's a flash in the pan. He'll hit a couple shots, but he'll look trash for the rest of the game. I've seen enough of him. Get him out of New York. Get him out of New York. And in this loss tonight, man, I watched this game from beginning to end. It's just like the last game. No defensive energy. And if you're a defensive coach, you got to see that. He should have pulled the whole starting lineup early in that game, put Frank in the game. I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, I'm talking to myself. I'm like, boy, I guess Frank ain't coming in tonight. We gonna take another
same thing.
He almost didn't.
The game is out of hand and near the end, and you saw what happened. And he's gonna come on with some cockamamie story and come with some. Fizz is getting on my nerves, man.
I was gonna ask you guys that.
He's getting on my nerves.
He's got on my nerves for a long time now.
Moutier got blown by so much tonight. Moutier looked like the bullfighter.
He needed to do individual coaching.
Just let people blow by. That's gonna put pressure on your back. When you're back in your defense, because he's not causing no stress.
Fizz be yelling at Knox and Mitchell Robinson, but you don't yell at Moutier.
When Frank came in the game, the whole game was different. And even something else people don't look at with Moutier. Moutier offensive efficiency. And I ain't talking about him being able to shoot the ball, but how he sets the game up for other players. Because as a point guard, you're supposed to make the game easier for the other guys who ain't gonna have the ball in their hand like you're gonna have as a point guard. Moutier does not pass the ball to get players open. He's one of them players where if he ain't getting to the basket, he is of no use. He's of no use.
You know what we call that? We call it the overrated assist.
Exactly, Bill. Because when you look at Frank, when Frank came in the game, that ball started moving. When Moutier was in the game, the ball was sticking. It was sticking. Everybody's sticking, trying to go one-on-one. Even Kanter, who don't have no one-on-one game. But I give Kanter a lot of credit, man.
In the post, he does.
In that game tonight. If it wasn't for Kanter, Hardaway, I'm sick and tired of Hardaway, too. I'm sick of him, man.
Hardaway's stuff.
Sick of Hardaway. Hardaway been in this league long enough, and I told you this to him a long time ago. I said, you know what? When you've been in the league for as long as you've been in the league, sometimes you are what you are.
Right.
7 years in,
no excuse for Timmy.
All them years of high school, he's playing the way he's going to be. It ain't going to be no change to his game.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he got sent to the G League down there in Atlanta.
There's no excuse for Timmy. He got his dad. He got everybody.
Let me get to this call.
You know who he remind me of, and I'm gonna tell you this, Sam, and you know this player. I love that he got the iconic poster, dunking on Jordan.
Oh, the eyes.
Him and Tim Hardaway remind me a lot of each other. They'll have one game where they're great and they look like they're an all-star player.
Please, I respect. I like a lot of things you're. I like a lot of things you're saying, but don't ever compare Tim Hardaway to John Starks.
Let me tell you this. Ron Cleveland got a point. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna take this call. But the biggest difference between Tim Hardaway and John Starks is John Starks had a lot of heart and played defense. You know, Timmy's not John. I mean, they got the same style of play, but I don't think he's not John Starks.
You know what it is, though.
You know what I mean? But I'm gonna get to this phone call. I'm gonna let you guys can go ahead and talk. I'm gonna get to this phone call and I'll be right back to you. All right. Caller, you're on live with Nothing But Knicks. What's popping?
What's poppin', Sim? This is Davon again. How you doing today?
I'm chilling, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Just calling to talk about the team and the direction I see it's going and the, players right now. What I feel like I was piggyback on what the entertainer was saying about Moutier, Vonleh, and Moutier, Vonleh, and Dotson. I feel like those players, correct, they have, progressed and everything like that. They have taken a step forward. But the rookies, the young guys, the Fizz kids, Frank, Trier, Knox, and Mitchell Robinson, they've stepped up, but I don't think they've developed and stepped up enough to where we can use that lineup all the time and use them all the time and, use them as our starters are those players that we're going to, they are going to be our players for the future, but the players that we play right now. So I feel like we're kind of like in like a weird situation right now,
Yeah. Now, see, my thing is with that group, no, they're not ready to be starters in the league. That's not ready to be
right.
That group is not ready to be a starting group in the league. Maybe 2 to 3 years down the line, that group might be ready to be a starting group in the league, right? But right now they're not. Although, this is a developmental year. Let's get those guys playing together as much as possible. That's what I want to see.
That's true. Yes, that's true. But that's what I feel like. I feel like that we need to just play them together. But then it kind of messes up the flow of things as it's kind of the Knicks are kind of putting like us fans like in a pickle right now because one game they'll play nice, they'll play good, everybody will be it looks like we're taking a step forward, we got this, but then the next night we'll see okay, we're not ready. So I feel like those guys, like I said, Knox, Trier, Mitchell Robinson, Frank, they've been playing good, but they haven't been playing good enough to where we can get rid of some of the extra guys so they can get those extra minutes that they need to fully develop.
Yeah.
Like Trier, for example. Trier, he's been like a blessing and a curse in a sense because he's putting us in this situation where I don't think the Knicks organization, we felt, I don't think, him being undrafted and everything, I don't think we thought he was going to be this good. You know what I mean? But he's not. You know what I mean? Like he's super good. He has the talent, but he still needs to develop. So he's kind of putting us in like a weird situation to where we're like, we can't send him to the G League because he's too good for the G League, but he's not polished enough to be our full-time starter. So he's kind of like those guys are putting the same thing with Knox. Can't send him to the G League right now.
I mean, but that's
same thing with Mitchell Robinson.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like.
Yeah, but that's supposed to be the whole point of the season. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Listen, I've said, and a lot of people, I've said from the beginning of the season, I want to play the young guys, and then we do our best with the young guys, and the chips fall where they may. If you win games, you win. If you lose, you lose. most likely you're gonna lose if you're playing young guys, just because they're young. But you try your best to win games with the young guys.
But we've been winning. That's been the craziest part. We've been winning. So like we got 8 wins. Like I feel like we could have we could have won about 3-4 more games if we couple of little decisions here, a couple of shots there. So
maybe
in the playoff hunt. In the Eastern Conference right now.
Yeah,
but then it's supposed to be a development year at the same time. So we're kind of like in a catch-22. Like, do we develop or do we try to go for, try to shoot for the most wins that we can get?
Well, you develop. You develop the players. We're the youngest team in the league. We got young guys that we are supposed to be looking at to be our future. You develop. You don't try to say, okay, well, it's the trade deadline. We're within an earshot of making the playoffs, so I'm going to go get this guy or that guy. You don't do that. You develop, and you live and die. You live and die with whatever the young guys give you. If they give you a playoff berth, they give you one. If they don't, they don't. You live with it. I think you develop, and that's part of my issue with when Dotson, although Dotson is 24 years old, he's considered one of the young guys, right? When Dotson was riding the bench, when like Knox wasn't getting that much burn, or he's in and out. My thing is, why mess around with these guys that are on? I mean, I know you're trying to find guys that you want to keep for next year and basically try guys out with an extended tryout. But our young guys need to be the priority. You know what I'm saying? So they really need to be the priority.
At what point do you feel, Tim? Do we just I don't know how to. We just let it go, and we just let the young guys go. We just set up for next year, because I feel like we're just like, if we got like a 3-4 game winning streak right now, we would be fighting for the playoff contention. But at what point? Is it Christmas? Is it New Year's? Is it the All-Star break? Do we just wash our hands for the season? And we just.
What do you mean by just let the young guys go? What do you mean? Just like you start the young guy? I mean, because you gotta have you gotta play.
At some point, honestly, we gotta sit Tim Hardaway Jr. Like at some point, like if it's for his sake, the team's sake, or the organization's sake, we gotta sit Tim Hardaway Jr. somehow, because he's not doing anything. He's not. I mean, he's putting up these points, but like you said earlier, if Dotson took 25, 30 shots a game, he'd average about 20 points a game as well. So at some point, we got to figure out what we're going to, do. I think, Tim Hardaway Jr. is like the domino effect right there. He's like, what are we going to do with him? Because he's not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like he's done the development of our young guys. I
think
all the players.
I think that Fizz looks at Hardaway as one of the young guys that he's trying to develop. I mean, even though Tim Hardaway is 26 years old, he's within the time. He's right with Tim Hardaway.
He's on the cusp.
Exactly of being who he's going to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tim Hardaway is right on the cusp. So you got like another year and a half to get Tim Hardaway to be what, if you think he can be an all-star, whatever it is, you got about a year and a half to get him there, right? Once you get around that 28 years old, you are who you are. You know what I mean? And
I feel like he is who he is. Now. Period. I mean, he doesn't even show flashes of like, okay, like he might be able to do this, a little bit better with time, or that, or this and that if we coach him up. He doesn't show his flaws and his weaknesses. He doesn't show any type of improvement. You know what I mean? I mean, he does. He is like one of the leaders right now in taking charges. But other than that, on his defense and his shot selection and his field goal percentage, he hasn't done it for me. He hasn't proved me, proved it to me that he can be that guy, or even the second guy on the team.
I hear you.
On a winning team.
Hey, man, I appreciate the call. I'm going to let you go. I know we got some other people that want to call in.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man.
My call.
Have a great...
Stay up and go Knicks.
All right. Have a great weekend. Peace.
Yeah, you too, sir. Peace.
And let me give a quick shout out to Miss Michelle Trier, who's in the chat. Thank you for joining the chat. I'm sure all the Knicks fans are elated to have you in the chat. Thank you for joining us. I want to ask you guys in the video chat. And for those who don't know, Michelle Trier, that's Zoe's aunt. That's Zoe's aunt in the chat. Say hi to her. Be respectful as well, my friends. Be respectful. Say what's up to her. Let me get back to the video chat. I want to ask you guys a question. I want to know what you guys think about the Fizz Kids lineup. All right. We got Isaiah just joined us. Ernie is in the chat, but I don't see his face. All right. Isaiah, I'm coming to you, man, since you just joined us. You ready? Got the red headphones on. I can't hear you, though.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, what's up, man? I can hear you.
What's going on, Sim?
Yeah, so the Fizz Kids lineup. We seen it tonight. I haven't seen enough of it. I want to see it a whole lot more. Frank Ntilikina.
I love it. The French.
Lonzo Trier. Kevin Knox.
Yeah.
Who else is out there? Mitch Robinson.
Oh.
And Damian Dotson.
The whole team.
So three rookies, and two sophomores out there together.
Sounds like high school again.
I need to see that lineup a whole lot more. I want to see that lineup a lot more. I believe that lineup could potentially one day be a big part of the future. Now, you're going to fit KP in there somewhere. But that lineup can be, is that a starting lineup one day in the league? Obviously not this year, but is that a starting lineup one day in the league?
Yes, if Zoe learns how to play defense and not get push-offs every time. Sam, I just wanted to say this, man. I don't think people understood the impact Frank had tonight the minute he stepped on the court. And even like Viv said, the rest of the guys, the impact that he had is even the deepest Frank hater that loathes Frank can't ignore the impact he had the minute he stepped on the court. That was just proven tonight. I said it since the beginning. If we lose like this, I'm perfectly fine. If we lose like this, because this is growing, this is a lineup that's young, that's learning.
Like this is what? When you say like this, what is like this?
Well, if we lose close, if we lose the right way, and I know people are gonna critique that, but if you lose the right way by playing the young guys and playing the right way by moving the ball, playing defense, and the shots don't fall, you can take that over having Tim go 1 for 85 and shooting midway and shooting half-court shots and with 24 seconds left on a shot clock. You can live with this versus that. You know what I'm saying? And they have to go. Listen, every great team goes through growing pains. The OKC had Russell, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, and they sucked. It's a fact. The Warriors sucked. The 2010 when they were booing them. It's growing pains that we all have to realize is going to happen. I like the lineup. I want us to play it more. I'd rather see Noah Vonleh in there. Because I love Zoe, but Zoe's getting caught a lot more, and I think you called it or Vip called it when he pushes with the arm a lot. He's getting caught for that now.
Well, that's going to take him adjusting to the league, just making those adjustments in the league. But do you think that lineup one day somewhere in there, KP's got to be in there? I don't know who gets bumped out of that, right? But could that be? Not these. I'm not going to say the starting lineup because KP has to come back. But can 4 of those players be starters for this team one day?
Yes, I believe. This is who I believe that could be in the starting lineup. I think for sure Mitch. I personally believe Frank. I believe Kevin Knox, and I believe in Chris the Entertainer. I believe Chris.
Oh, you gotta throw a joke in there.
I believe Chris, because you always need a white guy in the lineup, and we
gotta throw a joke in there. You know,
but Ron Baker's, I don't know what he is. He might be.
You know, these small club comedians always got to try to find a place to throw a joke somewhere. You know, let me cut them off. I'm gonna come to the entertainer. Chris, man, do you think that this group has 4 of our future starters?
The group that was out on the floor tonight?
Yeah, that the Fizz kids, right? That's
are we talking about a future where we're winning championships?
I don't know about winning championships, but just, you know, 4 future guys that could possibly be starters. You know, I'm saying 4 because of course KP is going to be starter.
Yeah, right? To me, the only guy that I know for a fact that's on this roster that's going to be a starter when we're good is KP. That's the only guy I know for sure. Okay. I think that Kevin Knox probably will be, and Ntilikina, I'm up in the air on. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna say this guy's a starter because I don't know yet. But Porzingis, I know on a good team will be a starter. I think Knox will be. I'm not sold on him yet though. So on this lineup tonight, I'm gonna say Knox. That's it.
Okay. All right. That's cool. That's fair.
That's for a championship level contending team.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fair. I want to see that group play a lot more together, though. Regardless if they're going to be, I want to see that group play a lot more together. This is what I like about that group. I feel like that group, those 5 players. I feel like they know their roles, right? They know what their responsibility is on the floor. That group, I feel like, and because they're all young, I mean, you know, two sophomores and 3 rookies. You're gonna see Knox step up and play better, in my opinion, because
I agree with that because he's not gonna shy away.
He's not gonna shy away. He's going to feel the responsibility of being one of the leaders on the floor. See, when you have, regardless, you know, we know what Tim Hardaway is. With Tim Hardaway on the floor, you got Kevin Knox and Tim Hardaway on the floor. He's going to defer, right? Because he's going to feel like Tim Hardaway has the responsibility, not him. Someone like Trier is a little bit different. Because Trier is 22 years old. Trier is going to be 23 in January.
I don't think Trier, and somebody told me he's answering the chat now. I don't think Trier defers to anybody. Trier sees the basket and he goes for it.
Well, but that's the thing. Trier's not going to defer to Hardaway. They're a lot closer in age, right? Hardaway's 26 years old. Trier's going to be 23 years old in January. So when you look at Trier, it's going to be a little bit different because he's not going to shy away. He's not going to defer. But someone like Knox is going to defer, right? I think with this lineup, Knox gets a chance to be one of the, you know, to be the guy on the floor. He gets a chance to be the guy with the responsibility. I think, you know, you put more responsibility. I mean, there's more responsibility on all those guys. When you have vets like Courtney Lee, Tim Hardaway Jr. on the floor, those younger guys are going to give up some of that responsibility. Naturally, it's just natural. It's just natural that you do it, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to give up some of that responsibility. That's why I like to see those guys play more together, because then I think that's when you're going to be able to see Kevin Knox start to do some of the things we want to see. That's what I believe. And I think that the roles of those guys really do fit together. You know, with who they are on the floor, it's just their roles are more defined, and they can see it and understand it a little bit better. You know, and you know that in that you know that there's a time you need to go ISO, you know you're gonna give it to Trier, right? Everyone else is pretty much gonna stay within that offense. Maybe Knox will go ISO a little bit every once in a while too, right? If it's a quick catch it and go. Everyone else is going to kind of stay within the offense and do what they need to do. You know, Mitchell Robinson is really going to be there for screen and rolls, to grab some rebounds, to block shots. You know that's going to be his role. You know, Damian Dotson is going to be coming off screens. Right?
I think Dotson is probably my favorite player on this team now. I love Dotson. Actually, I'm going to say this. I think Dotson, out of everybody that you mentioned, he's in the lineup that you were referring to, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think Dotson, maybe outside of Knox, is the guy that I am probably most confident in that can be a starter on a championship caliber team, even more so than Frank. I think Dotson, if you put a gun to my head right now, I think Dotson's going to be a better pro than Frank.
Well,
That's how impressed I've been with Dotson.
See, it's
this year.
just the only thing is it's very hard, and I know a lot of people, talk about some of these other guys who are pros that are 19, not pros, but some of these other guys who are 19 or 20 and they're doing this or doing that. I just feel like it's very hard because someone like Damian Dotson is, he's 24 years old. He's pretty close to
Good point, DH. Good point. He's more developed.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to see. Trier too, right? Trier's going to be 23 years old. He's pretty close. He's a few years away from being who he's going to be as well. These guys, their bodies are stronger. Their mindsets are a lot different, But, I mean, he very well could be. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying Dotson's not, or Trier or whatever. But, I just think it's a little bit hard to say because even though it's Dotson's second year in the league, he's just
you don't realize how old he is. Yeah, but
he's just a little
Dotson's the type of player. I always say this. Dotson's the type of player I like because he doesn't have any weaknesses in his game.
Yeah,
all those other players you talked about, you could pick out their weaknesses. Right now, Frank can't shoot. Knox is not the most efficient player on offense, and he's not the best defense. Mitchell Robinson can't hit a free throw to save his life. And he's limited on offense. Dotson reminds me of Courtney Lee, but I think he might even be better. Where he doesn't have a weakness to his game.
Yeah,
he's kind of strong in every. He's not like great in anything, but he does I don't play video games, but if you're looking at NBA 2K, he'd be like a 60, 65 in every attribute. He's not like all the way up here, but he has no weakness, and that's what I like about Dotson.
Yeah, and Dotson,
75.
Dotson is, he's matured a little bit. He's a little bit mature. He's 24. I don't know when he turns 25, but he's a little bit mature. Mature guy. Which, listen, there are teams from what I read. There are teams that are hot on Dotson too, and we better not. I mean, we got him this year, and I think he's under contract for next year. We better not mess around and move that guy.
Yeah, no, he's a keeper. Dotson's a keep. They got to keep him. I think at worst, he's going to be like a vital piece off the bench when they get good.
Yeah, I think so. Viv.
Yep.
The Fizz kids, that group. What do you think? What do you think about them?
Love their energy. Them all collectively, they work as one cohesive unit together. I think when you separate them, they're not the same. You got to play all five of them together, and they just feed off each other. They have the length to cause a lot of problems for a stretch of time. Is it 30, 35, 40 minutes of every game? Maybe not. But it's a type where if you put them in for 20 minutes, it can kind of make a difference. And the ball moves a lot faster. It's more decisive. What happens when they're all on the floor together? Yeah. And I just think that the piece that they were missing the last couple of games, ironically enough, was Frank. Now, you need an aggressive Frank, right? So you get your aggressive version of Frank, and that aggressive Frank makes a big difference because you notice, like I said earlier, right? Frank, when he brought the ball up, every possession, he brought the ball up a lot quicker. It almost took maybe a second and a half. Whereas in the past, maybe it'll take him 3 to 4 seconds to bring the ball up. That's a big difference because it's the 2.5 seconds, right? That means you're already accelerating up. You're getting into your motion. You're starting everything else, right? So you're setting the offense up a lot faster, and you get the energy. It's a lot more energy. Whereas if you bring the ball slowly, then it just slows down everything. It's very high half court and predictable.
Yeah. And what I noticed with Frank in that, and I just seen someone in the chat say that Frank looked more comfortable with that group, and I think he does. One, obviously, because he's playing with people closer to his age and closer to, his length of time in the NBA. I noticed instantly, right off the bat, you see Damian Dotson start to get some clean, wide open shots off of screens. The one thing, and obviously, we all want Frank to be a little bit more offensive, a little bit more selfish. But the one thing that he does do is make sure guys get into the sets. And when he can add the other part to his game, that's when you're going to start to see it. But you've seen Dotson and Dotson is kind of a system guy too. That's what really makes it work. And Knox is a guy that's coming from playing with a team that is wealthy with talent, so he understands how to. What do you want to say? He understands how to let others play and play within the offense. Trier is the only guy in that group that's really going to go away from the offense sometimes. Right, Trier's the guy, so that's what. But sometimes you need a guy like that, to go get the points for you if you need to. I think that lineup really does work, as a young lineup, and I just want to see it played together a little bit more. Use that group as the second group. It's going to be when Trey Burke comes back. You got to figure that whole thing out. You know what I'm saying? If you're starting to use that group. I think we'll definitely see that group again tomorrow. You know what I mean? I hope we do. Ron, what's going on, man? What do you think about that the Fizz Kids group? What do you think?
I thought about it, Fizz. Sam, they waited too late to go to that lineup. I mean, when you look at those guys, all those guys have something to prove. And in any lineup, you need to have one go-get-it player. Mm-hmm. They can get the basket, and that was Trier. And the other guys was more of a system, or more or less, I'm going to defer to somebody else. I'm going to move the ball around to get the best shot. And if you notice something, when Frank came in that lineup, you notice how Mitchell Robinson activity picked up so far as offensively. Frank was looking to him, throwing lobs and everything. And when we look at that first unit, that first unit is terrible, man. I mean, the ball don't move, it sticks, and that was the biggest difference. And I felt like this loss tonight, man. And I'm gonna stick out to it. This one and the last one was on Fizz, man. But the fact that you didn't put Frank in that last game, you put him in this game, it was late. And even I looked at how Frank played tonight, man. Frank looked for his shots, but it was within the system of the game, man. He wasn't trying to. I'm shooting ahead, just going up and just jacking up a shot just because somebody wants me to be. Because somebody wants me to be, going and chucking shots up and being aggressive. But it was within the flow of the offense. And even defensively, I saw Frank do some things tonight, man, that made me proud, man, to say, hey, I'm glad I got this guy on my team, man. And he's only going to get better, but they got to play him. They got to play him, man. And at this point, Tim Hardaway Jr., I'm echoing the points what they said about Dotson, man. To me, Dotson could be our star. Dotson could be our star. If we can find some way to trade Tim Hardaway Jr. with Courtney Lee, I would not be oppressed to that, man. Just get that fool out of New York, man. Because the problem with Tim Hardaway Jr. is you got all these young players that's looking at him as the most tenured guy on the team, him and Cantor, so they're going to follow his lead. And if he's taking bad shots, they're going to follow his lead. And if you look at it, that's what's happening when he's on the floor. People are following his lead, shooting bad shots. So you got to move. He's like a cancer. You got to remove him. He's not good for our team, man. Now that we're going with youth movement.
Yeah, well, we'll see what. Listen, I don't think they're gonna move him. I don't think you can move him. You know what I'm saying? I don't think
he continues to play.
He's shooting below 40% for the season. He doesn't do that much outside of shoot the basketball. I don't think any teams are going to be looking to take on that contract. So that's going to be something, if he doesn't get better, and and like we said, he's almost who he's going to be. Maybe he has a little bit more to grow, but he's almost who he's going to be. if he doesn't get better, I think we'll be stuck with it. I don't know if they want to trade him anyway. I'm just be honest with you. You know what I mean? I don't know if they want to trade him anyway.
Yeah, because that was Mills, baby.
And there's just intertwined connections. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. But anyway, whatever it is, I want to see more of the Fizz kids. I want to see those guys.
I hope they run that lineup tomorrow night, and I hope it's early. I hope it's early, because that makes the difference. And Canada, man, I got to salute Canada, Sam, man. Canada ball tonight, man. He kept us in the game. At a few points, he teed me off with some of the stuff he was doing. But offensively, on them offensive boards, man, and we wouldn't even been close in the game if it wasn't for him, man. Let's just be real.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right about that. I mean, obviously, Cantor has some things he's got to do on the defensive end. Also, on the defensive end, while Cantor is horrible in the screen and roll, we know that he's not going to defend the paint. But we also got to have guys help the helper.
Exactly.
I mean, it is so bad sometimes. And then people, look, I'm not defending Cantor's defense at all. Believe me, I'm not defending his defense. I love what he gives us on the offensive side of the floor and, of course, rebounding. But I'm not defending his defense. But as a player, you got to know who's on the floor with you, right? Know your personnel. KYP, know your personnel. But even if you don't know who's on the floor with you, if you don't know your personnel, you still have got to just play your basic basketball. Help the helper. I seen a play tonight. I'm not sure exactly who it was. Right? I mean, and there's different ways to help Cantor. Okay? On defense. Different things we can do. But I seen tonight, I don't remember who it was. Whoever it was, penetrated past their man. Cantor helps. And then Cantor was guarding Allen, I believe his last name is. He was guarding Allen.
Nobody went back, though.
Right? And Cantor helps out on the guy penetrating to the basket. Cantor's man, Allen, turns, looks, gets himself in position, but nobody rotates to now help Cantor. And then, of course, it looks bad on Cantor. Now, also, if you have someone like Cantor in the paint, Cantor is not blocking shots. It's just not happening. Stay in front of your man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Stay in front of your guy.
And Sam, that's the thing I was knocking Fizz for, man. Early in that game, I started looking at the game. I'm like, we're not playing on-ball defense. We look like we don't have no energy. It looked just like the Boston game, man. I was like, I can't believe this. And he just sat there and let that go on for the majority of the game. And I'm like, what are you waiting on? Hold the whole starting lineup if you have to.
Yeah.
And he waited too late. We could have won this game tonight, man. Brooklyn is not that good. They're trash. Let's just be real, man. That team is trash.
They are.
They're one of the better teams in the league tonight, man.
Yeah,
Brooklyn
I mean,
trash.
Yeah, they are. We made them look really good tonight. But yeah, our defensive schemes, I see It's Me says that's on Fizz's defensive schemes. Yeah.
I'm starting to get on my nerves, Tim. I don't know about you, man. I'm about to be under the 50% with him.
Okay.
Playing with me, man. I'm gonna jump off the porch with him, man.
Yeah. We've got to. I mean, our defensive schemes. Maybe we just don't have the guys. But defensively, we got to be able to stop somebody on the perimeter, and it's on all of our guys tonight. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? All the way from Hardaway to Frank, we seen somebody penetrate past them and get to the basket. Everybody, our guards have got to get stops. You know that Cantor's not going to get stops for you down in the paint. And honestly, you put Mitchell Robinson when Mitchell Robinson is in the game. He has a penchant to foul people. So when our guards can't stop anyone on the perimeter, what do you think happens? He picks up fouls because he's trying to block everybody's shot that comes into the paint. So he picks up fouls. We got to be able to stop guys on the perimeter, and we don't. We are one of the worst teams, if not the worst team after the last few games of giving up points in the paint. Why do we give up points in the paint? Because we have the two worst things going on for us. We can't stop guys from penetrating into the paint, and then our starting center cannot block shots. You're going to be bad. You are going to be bad. We got to find a way We got to find a way to stop guys from getting into the paint. Also, and this is a pet peeve that I have about Frank, man. He switches way too easy. I see it all the time. He switches. I mean, a lot of times I see him fight over screens. He fights over screens. But if it's a screen and roll situation, he switches really quick. And I wish that he wouldn't. I wish that he would not switch. I wish he would he fights over screens. I'm not saying he doesn't fight over screens, right? He's one of the best screen dodgers that I've seen in a long time, really. He dodges screens. He's like a pinball sometimes, fighting over screens, blah, 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 blah. But there are times when I'm like, why did you switch so easy? He'll just switch. I seen him do it about 3 or 4 times with Mitchell Robinson tonight. Just switch off onto the big guy. You know what I mean? When he didn't really have to switch. And then it leaves Mitchell Robinson. While Mitchell Robinson is decent playing defense on the guards out at the top of the key, that's not something that you want all the time. And then, of course, now Frank is in the position where he has to guard a big guy down low. You know what I mean? We can't switch so easy. It's got to be on the person that should be yelling switch is the person who is guarding the screener. That's who should yell the switch, because you can see whether or not the guard can get over the screen, right? You should have somebody call out the switch, right? So if Frank Ntilikina is guarding D'Angelo Russell, Mitch Robinson is guarding Allen. When Allen goes up and sets the screen, Mitch Robinson should tell Frank to switch or not to switch, because Mitch Robinson can see. He's the one who can see. I think you should have somebody calling out the switch, not just automatically switch. Have somebody call it out. But they got to communicate. They got to say it. But yeah, that's one of my pet peeves that I see about Frank a lot, is that switch. He switches very easy. I don't know if it's scheme. I don't know if it's him. I don't know. I'm not sure. I see we got BN in the chat. It's been a long time. He's been in the chat before, but it's been a while. BN, what's poppin', man? What's up with you, man?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Loud and clear, bro. Loud and clear. Glad to have you back in the chat.
Man. Yeah, anytime. So what are we talking about?
We were just we were talking about the Fizz kids, and then we were talking about defensive schemes.
Yeah, the Fizz kids, I like them all, man. I like them all. I've been saying this since last year, man. What's the point of putting Lance Thomas and some of these guys out there? And got to play these guys. These are the guys we might roll with in a year or 2 or 3 years. It's just like, why isn't Fizz doing this since day one?
Yeah. I mean, I get, it's just very hard. I know that they signed guys like Hezonja and Noah Vonleh so that they can kind of give him a run for this year, see if there's someone that they're gonna bring back next year.
I like Vonleh. I think Vonleh should have been playing power forward. They should have moved Knox to the 3 and had Trier come out off the bench as the 6th man. That would have been a perfect lineup to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, say that again.
I said we should have had Noah Vonleh instead of Trier, and had Trier come off the bench, and Vonleh could have been there as a rim protector and a guy that can guard down low. Like, we were kind of people were looking at each other like they didn't know what they were doing when a guy drove and passed his man and there was nobody in the paint, to back him up.
Yeah. I think Vonleh is going to be a guy that sticks around.
Yeah, I like Vonleh. I think he's like the better version in every way of Lance Thomas. Like, he can play the 4. He has strength to play the 4, and he could shoot the 3. So I don't know. I feel like with Vonleh here, I don't think we have any use for Lance Thomas.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting Lance Thomas right now. From what I understand, is he's on the verge of coming back. We'll see what. We'll see. He's on the verge. We'll see what
God damn it.
Fizdale decides to do. But listen, here's the one thing though. Lance Thomas isn't going. Whatever role you give him, whatever role that Fizdale gives Lance, he's not going to complain about it. If he decides you're not going to play,
we got bigger problems. We got bigger problems like Timmy Hardaway who thinks he can take 20 shots a game and shoot, 25, 30, 40% and get away with it. It's crazy. And play no defense.
Right. So I'm not really worried about Lance Thomas coming back, because he's not going to complain about whatever it is whatever Fizdale asks him to do. He's not going to complain about it. He's just going to do it. He's that kind of a guy, which is that's good.
I don't trust Fizdale to stick with the young guys. He goes with the young guys, he sprinkles that in, and then he pulls them back, and then he starts playing everybody else. That's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, I get it. You want to win games, right? But that's cool. I want to win games too, but I want to live or die with the young guys. If we can win with the young guys, cool. If we lose with the young guys,
I would be happy. I think somebody said it before. I would be happy if we lost the game, but we played the young guys and we took a small step forward, rather than playing these guys that are not going to be around a year or two and winning for no reason. We're not shooting for the playoffs, so I'd rather win or lose with the young guys, like you said. Yeah.
And going back to what I was saying about playing defense, guarding these guys, playing defense on the perimeter, pick and roll defense, guarding the blocking shots, blah blah blah, just letting guys get in the paint. Just going back to that, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take a look at these shot charts for the night. We're gonna take a quick look at the shot charts, because the Brooklyn Nets lived in the paint. I mean, they set up tents. They pitched the fire. They lived in the paint. Look at the shot chart tonight. This is the Nets shot chart. Look at this. You can't even count how many shots are in the paint. They lived in the paint. Right? It was ridiculous. They scored 60 points in the paint tonight. 60 points in the paint. I'm not sure what they were coming into the game. I'm not sure, coming into the game. I'm not sure, how many points in the paint they scored. But the Knicks are one of the worst. The Knicks, going into the Boston game, the Knicks were giving up 51.7 points per game in the paint. I'm not exactly sure what they were after the Boston game, because they gave up 58 points in the paint in the Boston game. The Boston Celtics were one of the worst in the league scoring in the paint. The Knicks gave them 58. Let them score 58 tonight. We gave the Brooklyn Nets 60 points in the paint. Here's the shot charts. 60 points in the paint, ladies and gentlemen. That's just terrible. You're going to lose just about every game if you're giving up 60 points in the paint. That's crazy. We just got to do a better job. We've just got to do a better job guarding the paint. Guarding the paint.
Mitchell Robinson, he's got to rotate. He's got to rotate quicker. I notice him. He gets late when the guy gets past his man, and then he ends up fouling him.
Yeah, and that's with Mitchell Robinson. That's gonna come with time playing in the league. Just come with time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not mad about that. I think we should have played Vonleh more, though, because he would have been like a poor man's Draymond Green. He would have put a body on a guy if they drove down and made sure that they're not going to just go into the paint every other play.
Yeah. Let me ask you, what is Noah Vonleh? Is he at his ceiling, or is there more to go? Because
I think Noah Vonleh is starting to remind me of I know I'm going to get some comments about this, but he's reminding me of an Anthony Mason. He's tough.
You know what?
He
I don't know if he's as tough as Mason, but I can get the comparison. I get the comparison.
Yeah, he might not be as tough, but he's a strong guy down low, and he's got some finesse. He can take a shot and he can make it. So listen, I love Vonleh. He's the guy that I wanted Lance to be, but Lance is just horrible. And Vonleh is I want him to stick around. He looks good. He looks like a tough, gritty New York Knick.
Yeah. Listen, Noah Vonleh. We talk about the Fizz kids, but we hardly ever put Noah Vonleh in that group. You know what, though? He should probably be in that group when we talk about the Fizz kids. He's 23 years old.
He should be in that group.
Yeah, he's been in the NBA for 4 years, since 2014, right? But he's only 23. He will not turn 24 until August of 2019. So he's still a young guy. Damian Dotson is 24, and we consider him part of the Fizz kids. I think it's time to put Noah Vonleh in that group as well as being
imagine
part of the Fizz kids,
Vonleh and KP at the 4 and 5. That would be perfect.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. So, Noah Vonleh still has room to become a player. So far this season, right now, he's averaging 8.4 points per game, 8 rebounds a game. He's shooting 44.7 from the 3-point line. He's shooting 50% from the field.
Wow.
Yeah, Noah Vonleh is doing a lot of things for us this season, man. It's like Mario Hezonja, right? We brought him in, we brought Vonleh in, we brought a few people in to see how they were going to do. I think we know now, right? Mario Hezonja doesn't have a future in the NBA, and Noah Vonleh could turn into something that a legitimate, NBA player. So we need to start, it needs to start clicking for Fizdale where he's like, okay, these are the guys I'm going to start going with, and these are the guys that are not going to get as many minutes. Yeah. So let me ask you, what is Noah Vonleh's? What do you consider? What's his ceiling? He's still 23 years old, so he's got time to go. I'm gonna ask the chat too. What's his ceiling? What is Noah Vonleh's ceiling? What's he end up being in the NBA?
That's tough to say. It depends on who's developing him, and how much time he gets on the court.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying potential-wise, though. What do you think?
Anthony Mason.
Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah. Anthony. All right, Anthony Mason. Let me see. I'm gonna get around to the group. All right, I'll come back to you, BN.
All right.
Davon, let me ask you the question, man. Davon, what's popping, man?
What's popping, Sam?
I'm chilling, man. Let me ask you, Noah Vonleh. What do you think his future is in the NBA? What's his ceiling?
I
still
like
23
Vonleh,
years old.
I like it a lot. He's still young. I think he could be like a he's a good serviceable big man, kind of like better than like a Udonis Haslem, like a good solid piece on a championship team, like Udonis Haslem, or like a maybe a more prevalent like David West, how David West's role is on the Warriors right now, or was on the Warriors, just a little bit better than that since he's younger. But yeah, he got a bright future in the league. The Knicks need to do something, make sure that we keep him around. Yeah.
Now, and the chat has a few, Ernesto says 15, 10, and 3. Brandon McNeely said, TNT the other night said that he was a bench player on a playoff team. Big Oso says he's a 12 and 10 guy.
He's a solid bench player on a good team, like a solid bench player, like, yeah, he's solid. He should be, in my opinion, he should be in the running for most improved player, just for what he's been doing lately.
Okay. Yeah.
Shooting a high percentage. He doesn't really take, Noah Vonleh, he doesn't really take any bad shots. Everything flows in the offense,
Yeah. Ghost Rider said he thinks 14 points, 8 rebounds.
Yeah, I think he could be about, he could get close to a double a game, about 12 and 8, 8 and 8 what he's doing right now, but some games I feel like he could really go off, for about 15, maybe 17 points,
well, we've
12
seen him
rebounds, but yeah, he's a good serviceable player though, for sure, a stay in my book on the Knicks.
Yeah, and somebody in here, I don't remember who it was, said he's only good right now because he's starting on a bad team. Well, we'll see, man. We'll see what's up.
There are a lot of players in the league like that. I say, Tim Hardaway Jr. fits that mold. But Vonleh, definitely. I feel like he's a good player, serviceable player on any team, on any system that you put him in. He's tough. He's not a punk, so if you need somebody that's going to be grit and grind, he can do that. He's showing, like you say, shooting 45% from 3. He's showing that he can stretch the floor, he can rebound, he can play defense. So, I mean, he doesn't really have any, too many flaws in his game for what you're asking Vonleh to do on the court, for what you're going to ask him to do on the court. So yeah.
All right, let me get back to you. Let me get back to you. Find out what these other guys think. And I seen Marty Nick said Kevin Willis. Whoever brings Kevin Willis out the hat? Jeez, my man said Kevin Willis. Who brings Kevin Willis out the closet or out the hat, whatever you want to say? Who brings him out? Kevin Willis. Kevin Willis. I don't know. Let me see. Viv, what do you think? Noah Vonleh, what's his ceiling in the league, man? Someone said Al Horford. Ian Coleman.
Oh yeah, I'm not ready to go that far yet. But... look, I think he's gonna probably. I think long term he's a 5. I don't think he'll ever have the shooting consistency to really be a 4. You know, I don't even want to go there, but it's kind of hard to compare him. Like, you know, some sort of stretch, not a stretch 4. It's going to be hard. I can't even find the right player to compare. I was originally thinking Kurt Thomas, but he doesn't have that grittiness that Kurt Thomas has on a game-to-game basis. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to compare to borderline All-Stars either, so...
Yeah. I mean, you know, we'll see what he can be. He's 23 years old. That's, you know, I never really checked his age, but he's 23 years old. He won't be 24.
He's 23. But he's a former lottery pick. They thought he'd have the shooting range to be like Chris Bosh light when he came out of the draft, but he never really got all the pieces together on that end.
Really
so
put the pieces together. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's someone who you can still develop, though, because he's only 23 years old. You can still...
Or maybe he's like a better version of JaMychal Green when Fizz worked with him in Memphis.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Let me see. Chris, what do you think, man? No Vonleh.
Vonleh's ceiling?
Yeah, what do you think his ceiling is?
All right, I got yelled at in the chat. People were laughing at me because I didn't know we were talking about the ceiling. I said who I would compare him to. Who I would compare him to right now is O'Quinn, maybe a little bit better because he could step out and shoot the 3 a little bit. But his ceiling, he's never going to be, to me, a starting player on a championship caliber team. That's my opinion. Yeah, that's my opinion. But I'd have to think about this. How about what's the guy's name that was on the Warriors when they were really good last year? The guy that had the weird head, the bald guy. What's his name? No, not David West. No, he's not. He's Spites, right? Marcus Spites.
Oh, Spates.
Spates. I could see that.
Think so? I mean, you know what? I'm not even sure. Because I'm a mixed. I don't want to say a mixed bag on him. He has a lot of tools. He can do a lot of things. He really is a utility guy. And with him being still so young, right? You know, people look at Damian Dotson, and because Damian Dotson's in his second year, he's still younger than Damian Dotson. He's going to be the same age in about a month. Him and Alonzo Trier will both be 23 years old.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just don't want to get carried away because I know Knicks fans get carried away. I said in the chat when we drafted Knox, I'm on your chat all the time, and everybody's saying Knox is going to be the next Kevin Durant. I don't want to get carried away. Vonleh is putting up good numbers on a very bad team.
Of course.
Could he be? Maybe everything breaks right and the guy ends up being like a 13-7 starter on a good team. But I like to keep things in perspective. I think he's more of a bench guy on a good team.
Okay, I mean, and it might be. We'll see what he does. When I look at him, I look at some things that he does, and I feel like some of the things that he does, he could do on just about any team that he's playing on. Rebounding the ball, you can rebound the ball. No,
I agree with that. The rebounding, that's his best attribute.
Yeah, you know, you can rebound the ball no matter what team you play on. He's shooting 45% from 3. No matter who you're playing on, if you can shoot it at that clip, you're going to be able to, you know, you should be able to still hit it at that clip. I think what separates guys from being able to be, you know, a starter on a good team is, can you defend consistently, and can you, you know, when you're called on, can you be a consistent guy who can get your own shot, you know, get a shot and score, right? I think he can develop to be a consistent defender. He seems to be a decent defender to me. Can he always go get his own shot? You know, sometimes we see, I don't know. You know, I see him in the post every once in a while. He can get a good shot up. You know, he's still working in that area, I think. You know, but some of the other things that he does, I think he could do it on whatever team he's on. Hey, he's a young guy though. You know what I mean? 23 years old.
Yeah.
23 years old. That's good. That's pretty good. 23 years old. And let me come to Isaiah before he falls asleep on us. And then I want to ask you guys a question about Trier. But
Let me get up, man.
Isaiah, what's up, man?
All right. Sim, we got our own Karl Malone.
Come on, man. How you gonna make me mute you?
No, Sim, listen.
Man. Come on.
Listen, Sim. No, this is not blasphemy.
It is blasphemy. It is blasphemy. He is not the mailman.
No, I'm joking with you.
He's the milkman. All right,
I think
maybe he's the milkman. He's not the mailman.
Yeah, he's the milkman. Maybe. No,
on,
okay.
man.
I think, in all seriousness, I think his if he figures it all out, everything goes good for him. I think he can be a better version of Kyle O'Quinn. He can be a better version of Kyle O'Quinn, and I'm sorry. Wait, y'all playing a Kyle O'Quinn like he was terrible. He wasn't terrible.
I mean, but he's never really gotten consistent. Besides when he was with the Knicks, and he didn't even get consistent minutes on the Knicks. So you know, he's never really gotten consistent minutes. Kyle O'Quinn.
I mean, exactly, Chris. Chris just said it. Noah. Be honest with you. Noah was a journeyman before the Knicks. He is technically he's still a journeyman.
Well, yeah. I mean, he is. He was a journeyman. Is he really a journeyman? I mean,
he played like for 5 teams, Sam.
But he's only been in the league for a couple of years. I think he gotta, he could settle in and be with the Knicks for the next 10 years. Who knows?
Okay, granted, we gotta give him a fair shot. He did get drafted by Michael Jordan, so we gotta give him a break. He got drafted by Michael Jordan, so we gotta give him a break. But I do think, you know what? I like what Chris said. I think he could be a Udonis Haslem, a good Udonis Haslem.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I think someone maybe found a good one. Ian Coleman said Horace Grant is a good one. I think so.
Horace, come on, no, stop disrespecting Horace Grant.
Someone, or he was actually responded to someone else. Someone said Horace Grant. Can't find who it is.
No, when Horace Grant got on the Magic, he changed that team. He got on the Magic in the 90s.
Oh, Ernesto said Horace Grant with a question mark. Horace Grant, maybe he could, is he the same kind of rebounder? Horace Grant was a utility guy. Maybe he could be. We're talking about what he could be, not what he is now. You know what I mean? Let me give a couple of shout outs. Dan.
I hate millennials. They be playing players like they were bums. Horace Grant was really good on the Magic.
Mute him for a second. Big shout out to Dan for the super chat. He said, "Give Hardaway a DNP." We'll see what Fizz does there. We'll see what's up. Famous, thank you for the super chat. Said, "Would you trade Zoe if we could get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. and Lee?" No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would go ahead and keep Zoe. And try to find a way to do something else with Lee, and I think with Tim Hardaway, I think I'd keep Zoe. You know what I mean? I want to keep a piece because you don't know. All right, if you trade them, you don't know if you're gonna get another young player that is maybe has the potential that Zoe has. I think I'd keep him. And then Marty Knicks says shout out to Sim and the chat. Thank you for the super chat, Marty. Appreciate it. Speaking of Zoe, ask you guys a question. We got about 7 days. 7 days before, and this is not on the mark, right? So it could, this whole thing with the 45 days with the two-way players who have 45, he can only be with the team for 45 days. It's a little bit weird because it's practice time and any team events is considered, being with the team. So the days that, the time period or when that 45 days is up, it has to be calculated and all this crazy stuff. But it's coming within the next week. It's coming within the next week. I want to know what we do. What do we do? Right? What do we do? It's coming within the next week. You got to make a decision about Zoe. Got to make a decision about Zoe. Point 5. You said Zoe was made to play here. You heard it in the interview. If you did not see my interview with Zoe's mom, Marcy Trier, his aunt, Michelle Trier, who was in the chat earlier. Maybe she's still in the chat. If you did not see that interview, go check it out. Right? Because like Miss Trier said, this is where she and Zoe wanted to be. They wanted to be in New York. And thankfully, they're here. Right? So, and I think the Knicks wanted them. Of course, there was a couple of, I read about it, there was a couple of hang-ups draft time. Zoe thought he was going to be drafted in that second round. Instead, they went with Mitchell Robinson. But because he wanted to be with New York, he hung on and stuck in there. And the Knicks signed him, and now he's proven that he could have been a first-round draft pick. Right? But if you haven't checked out the interview, check out the interview. And, of course, in that interview, we're raising funds for the Women and Children program. But check out that interview. It's a good interview. Looking forward to the next time. But I want to ask a question. I want to find out from you guys. What do we do? These 45 days are coming close. Got to make a decision. Right? This is a big decision because it could impact salary cap space. It probably wouldn't impact it a whole lot, but it could impact it. Right? So, let's find out from you guys, what do we do? Who do we move? Do we waive someone? Do we do something with Luke Cornett, who's been called up from the G League? Coming to you, Davon. What do we do, man? Lonzo Trier, 45 days. How do we free up space for him? What do you think?
Oh, man. Dang, Sam, why did you have to come to me first? But I don't know, because it's a tough one. I feel like Trier, man, he's been balling out. He's putting the pressure on us, like the real pressure on the Knicks organization, like tough. Because I don't believe that the organization felt like he was going to be this good, this fast. I thought thought he was going to have to take a little more development. Maybe bring Mitchell Robinson too. Maybe bring them up, call them up, send them to the G League, and then call them up towards the end of the year. But right now, as what I think we should do or what we need to do, I guess it would have to be we'd have to get rid of Baker, cut Baker or Cornett, or find a new home for Courtney Lee, since I feel like he's the odd man out of the rotation. Deep down, I would want us to get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr., but I don't see that happening anytime soon. Just that quick right. In the next couple of days. But yeah, I don't know exactly. I think we should show free agents and other players in the league, that we're, a different organization. And I think we should trade Courtney Lee to maybe the Sixers, maybe somewhere decent to where he can be, that vet and, maybe play on a playoff team, make a playoff push for a playoff team just right. To show, that we're a good, decent organization. I don't think we should trade Courtney Lee to somewhere like the Magic. I think that would just be like a disservice to him and everything he's done for the Knicks and, as a player in the league, as a veteran in the league. But it's tough to say because we have a bunch of players who've proven themselves, and then we have guys who haven't developed yet, but proven that they are, a commodity in this league. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of tough. But I got faith in, the
It's
front
a tough
office. I
one.
feel like every move that they made so far has been, pretty good. So I feel like, they'll put us in the step in the right direction with this situation.
Okay. Let me see. BN, what do you think, man? What do you think, BN? Who do we move? How do we make space?
I mean, to me, I don't think we ever succeed in any trade. So why don't we just let some of these guys that are in their last year of the contract go, right?
The issue is that you. Oh, okay. So you're saying waive them? Is that what you're saying?
Waive them, or just wait till the off season and then don't re-sign them, like with Trey and Moutier and all of them. Just let them go.
Well, the issue is that Alonzo Trier being a two-way player, right?
Yeah.
With him being
two-way player, Alonzo Trier? You mean Dotson?
No, two-way player as far as the G League.
I see what you're saying.
As far as the G League, right? With Alonzo Trier being a two-way player, he only has so much time to be with the Knicks organization, which is 45 days.
They need to sign him ASAP, I think. Right. I don't know.
But
I don't know what they're doing.
The thing is, you got to have a roster spot in order to sign him.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy.
So
I got plenty of people we can get rid of.
Okay, give it to me. What do you think?
All right. Well, I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get some haters, but Trey Burke, Lance Thomas, Courtney Lee. I'm sorry, Courtney Lee has to go too, and Moutier. They all gotta go. So,
but what do we do? I mean, you're saying they all gotta go. So we waive who? Who do we waive?
Man, who do we waive first? That's tough, right? I think we should waive Lance Thomas. I mean, he's already. I don't think he even has any. I don't know. I don't even know how long he's on contract with us, but I doubt anybody's going to take Lance. But if we can trade him, why not? Go for it.
Lance Thomas
and Courtney Lee. Yeah, Courtney Lee. Like, I have a lot of respect for him because he'd be great in a playoff team, but he doesn't belong in this Knicks team right now.
Right.
Unless he wants to sit in the bench.
So Lance Thomas makes $7 million this year, $7.5 million next year. His contract is done. Courtney Lee, $12 million this year, $12.7 million next year. Contract is done. And then you got
both of them off the books would be amazing.
Ron Baker, $4.5 million this year, and then he's done. Right. You gotta in order to keep Alonzo
Ron Baker,
Trier,
I forgot about him.
Yeah. In order to keep Alonzo Trier, you either got to do it, make a trade where you send away 2, take back 1, then a roster spot opens up, or you got to waive someone.
Ron Baker's the guy because he's not even playing. He was kind of off and on and health wise. So yeah, he's good. I mean, what do you think? He's got to go, right?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. You would think that they're going to take this all the way down to the last minute. I'm pretty sure they're going to take it down. They probably have it calculated out. They say he plays this game, or whatever, and they know exactly when the 45 days is up, and they'll probably take it all the way down to the end before they make whatever move they have to make. Let me see. I'm gonna go around. I'll come back to you. See what's going on. Viv, what do you think, man? Yep. How do we make room? What's going to be the best possible solution to make room for Zoe?
Most practical solution right now to keep Zoe on the roster is to cut. You're gonna have to cut one or Baker or Cornette. They're not going to trade Lee. Look, it's not going to happen. They're going to want to do it. They're not going to do it, and they're not going to be. If they try to trade Frank, then I would basically advise Perry and Mills to hire bodyguards full time because they're not going to survive New York City if they do that. So with that said, they have no choice, but they will have to cut one of Baker or one of Cornette. Cornette's an easier cut because at least with Cornette, he's like on a very cheap contract. Baker, it's more in a sense that you got to pay him the rest of the duration of whatever the contract is for the rest of the year.
So,
he has a $4 million salary this year. So
so with
it's
Baker,
a little bit hard.
It's a little bit harder on the organization, right? If you cut Baker, you got to give up $4.5 million I mean, you're going to give up the $4.5 million anyway, so I don't know how much it really matters.
It's just a question of how much dead money do you manage to, like, you know, how much dead cap in that sense do you want to, you know, absorb in a one season? They already have the Noah thing, which is already 18-something million they got to eat this year.
Yeah.
And then they got to add another $4.5 million to it, or $4 million, whatever the prorated number is. And look, I would do that because obviously it's a glut, and there's no chance Baker's going to play anytime soon.
Right.
So those are the things that are at least palatable in a sense. The other ones, you know, creating Burke, those don't make sense right now. So
let me ask you this: which one out of Cornette and Baker? Because I agree, if someone is going to get waived, now Cornette, I believe you can waive him and then re-sign him to, and I think I read this as an option that they can waive him and then re-sign him to, you know, a two-way contract, right?
No, actually, you cannot do that.
You can't do that. Okay.
You cannot, because he already had a two-way contract. You cannot sign him to a second one. We looked at this as part of the Knicks film school. There's an article about it. You can't convert this into a two-way.
Okay, so you can't do that. All right, so then that means someone has to go, right?
Yeah, someone has to go.
Okay, so somebody has to go. Now let me ask you this here. Mm-hmm. Considering possible trade scenarios down the line, you know, coming close to the trade deadline. I mean, the trade deadline is, you know, 2 months away or whatever.
Yep.
Which one is going to be more beneficial to keep when we're talking trade scenarios? Now, and that means we're looking at not just the player and how much production they bring to the floor, but we're also looking at their salaries and, you know, which one is going to be best to help with, you know, to throw in to make salaries work, etc.
Okay.
Right? To make salaries work when we're talking about trade scenarios and those type of things, which one is better to keep around?
Oh, between those two?
Between those two. Because I think you've got
the problem is, Tim, for one, I don't think you could actually trade Baker because he's on one of those contracts where it's almost going to be like there's like a no trade aspect to his contract.
Right.
So you're kind of stuck with Baker on that end. Cornette, again, the problem is that he's on such a minimum contract and he's on a one-way deal. So it's not like you can throw him into a deal, but it's not like you're better off cutting him because they're gonna cut him anyway. So whatever team would have had to acquire him, it's not gonna make much of a difference because he's on such a cheap contract.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Luke Cornette's contract for this year. Now, for this year, Luke Cornette is 1.6. I mean, it's a small contract, but sometimes, you know, that can take you right to the point where you can actually get the trade done.
Right. Again, I think if we look at it down the road, right? If we're looking at now, let's put it on the perspective because this past weekend, you know, the three-way trade happened where Milwaukee got George Hill for a bunch of, you know, like a whole bunch of pieces moved around, right? So George Hill was traded from Cleveland to Milwaukee in a three-way deal involving the Wizards. But in return, there were some picks that were sent away. So just imagine, like, whatever that deal was, that's really the baseline of, you know, that's the best case scenario that you can probably get. And the thing is that George Hill, his contract's a lot better than Courtney Lee's contract because it's not even guaranteed next year. So if all it took to get George Hill was just like some switching around of picks and some other stuff, then Courtney Lee's trade value is just going to be at a bare minimum in that sense because he has a fully guaranteed contract next year. So whatever team acquires him is going to have to absorb that contract. Now, if we try to squeeze the market even further, right? Because obviously we're talking Lee because Lee's that's the person that doesn't fit on this team. If we look into the actual teams that need him, we know that the only teams that are going to want him are playoff teams. Because there's no team that's in our position that needs a guy like Lee. There's no middle of the round teams that probably need him. So the only teams that will need him are playoff teams. If you look at the playoff teams, what value do they provide? None. So the only thing you could do, right, is you add sweeteners to the Lee deal, but the question is which sweetener you add to him. You can add Frank. Frank's still probably the worst thing you want to do because he's probably the better player of a sweetener you can add. You can probably add Trey Burke because Trey Burke might be a sweetener in the sense that he's a cheap contract, and if a team really liked him, they could still sign him without having to, absorb a big cap hold to sign him. But those are probably the only two that make any sense to do. So with this roster crunch coming up, I don't think it necessarily matters, who you keep in that sense, because I don't think they'll factor into any potential trades. It's just that, in theory, you should.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they will factor in. I think that, listen, Ron Baker's salary, you got to pay it either way. If it were me, I guess it would depend on if I'm in conversations with anyone and if there's anything that we have maybe burning or in the background, right? But if we do, Ron Baker's, to me, because he makes a little bit more and it is expiring, and I know you have this technicality of there being a no trade clause, but I'm pretty positive that you could get Ron Baker to, approve it, right? He that's $4.5 million of an expiring contract if it's something that you need. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I think that could be valuable if you're looking to make a move later on down. If there's something that you feel that could come up that may benefit the team, it's something that I think could possibly help. Now, of course, you got to look at which player do you think could possibly have a future with the team, and maybe they think Luke Cornett is someone that could have a future with the team more than Ron Baker. I don't know. That's a tricky situation. Let me see what Chris thinks about this. What do you think, man? Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I was getting into an in-depth discussion with everybody in the chat. I missed most of what you guys were talking about. Okay,
cool. We were talking about Alonzo Triers. 45 days is going to be coming up soon. We're going to have to make a move. Viv said, back a couple of months ago, or maybe a month ago, there was an article that came out that said that the Knicks could think about waiving Luke Cornett and then re-signing him to a two-way contract. He said him and Knicks Film School, they looked up some stuff and found out you can't do it.
Okay.
Right? You can't do it. So that means somebody has to be cut. Someone has to be waived.
Okay, and you're asking who I would cut?
Yeah.
If I was going to keep Trier, I would keep Trier, and I'd probably cut Cornett. That's probably who I would cut. But you can't cut Baker, right? There's something in his contract. Can you cut Ron Baker?
I think you can probably waive him. He's still going to get his money. He's going to get his $4.5 million. There's something, I don't know exactly what the technicality is, some kind of technicality that in the long run equates to a no trade clause, right? But I'm pretty positive as long as his agent is cool and he's still going to get his money, he's going to be a free agent anyway this summer. I'm pretty sure they would sign off, right?
Well, if there was no implications with money or anything like that, I'd get rid of Baker. And I like Baker. He's a hustle guy, whatever. But he has no place. He has no place on this team. Right. He has no. Isaiah just made me laugh. He told me I like him because he's white, but that's not the reason.
They're both white.
That's not the reason. It's because he's a hustle guy.
Well, they're both white. Luke Cornett and Ron Baker are both white. So what's he talking about?
Yeah. but no, it's because he doesn't. He's like fourth. He's fourth or fifth at point guard if you include Trier. So he doesn't really have a place on this team.
Yeah. See, I think I would keep Baker. The reason why I would keep Baker is because I think if you are looking by the deadline, if you're looking to make a move, his contract might be a little bit more valuable as a contract that's going to expire, an expiring contract. It might be a little bit more valuable because he's making $4.5 million.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, if you're talking about, yes, he would absolutely have more value in a trade. But the thing is, what are you gonna? Where are you going to trade a $4.5 million contract though? Who are you going to? You know what I'm saying? I guess a team might, but who would want him? Like, what would be the attraction to take his contract on?
If let's say that there's a team trying to free up cap space for 2019, and they're like, okay, we'll give you a second round pick. You give us Ron Baker, we free up $4.5 million. Who knows? I don't know.
Right. Right. But for them to free up the 4.5, wouldn't they have to give us a player?
No.
Okay. All right. Maybe then. I don't know.
If they had a roster spot available, or let's say, and maybe it's something a little bit deeper. I don't know. I just think that his contract could be a little bit more valuable because it's expiring and it's $4.5 million. It could possibly be a little bit more valuable for a team that's looking to free up some cap space. If there was some kind of deal where they're getting rid of a player, maybe it's a 3-team deal, and they're getting rid of a player. That player is going someplace else. They need to make the money work, but they also want to free up cap space. And you say, okay, well, we can send Ron Baker. You send us a draft pick, second round draft pick. This team gets whatever player.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, if it was just pure skill and fit on the team, I would get rid of Baker. But when you think about it like that, it might make more sense to keep Baker for a situation like that.
Yeah, and you never know. I'm pretty sure they've had conversations with a lot of people, and a lot of people around the league, and you don't really know exactly what's happening. They probably have some ideas of what trades could possibly be out there. So
when's I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm just thinking as you're talking. When's the trade deadline? What is that in a month and a half?
February. Yeah. Like 2 months.
2 months.
2 months.
Now, if you were Fizdale, if you were the Knicks right now, Courtney Lee only played 3 minutes tonight. Would you be trying to get him more minutes to up his trade value? Because he's clearly the guy that we are going to want to trade at the deadline.
Jeez. Maybe. My only question about it is, let me see. I'm looking at important dates right now. The trade deadline is February 7th, so we're like 2 months away, almost exactly 2 months away. My only thing about it is, do teams kind of know what Courtney Lee can do? And maybe they're not.
And you don't want to risk injury or whatever. Right. Maybe, that's not a bad. Yeah, I mean, the two guys that I'd want to get rid of are him and Hardaway. I don't see any team having an attraction for Hardaway. Not with his contract. I don't see it. I think Lee is movable.
I think Lee is movable too, and I think teams probably know what Lee can do. He's been doing it for a long time. He's been a pretty steady player. The injury that he's had is not like it was a knee or something like that, or an Achilles where they're like, is he still going to be able to move? It was a neck injury or whatever it was. I don't know. I think that he probably, down the line, I think there could be something for Courtney Lee out there. But that would be closer towards the trade deadline, and we're going to have to make a move within the next week, probably.
Right. Yeah. No. And if you're not cutting Baker, it has to be Cornette. In my opinion, it has to be Cornette. Who would you? Here's my question: who would you pick?
Who would I pick? I would waive Cornette. And
he's the only guy. If it's not Baker.
Yeah, I would waive Cornette. There's multiple reasons why. I don't think that he's really going to have that much of a future with the team. I don't think either one of them are going to have too much of a future. When I look at it, one, like I said, talked about the keeping Baker around just in case a team wants an expiring contract. That's a decent $4.5 million could help somebody out. And then just looking at, if I'm going to throw money away, do I want to throw away $4.5 million or do I want to throw away $1.5 million? Even though I gotta pay both of them. You know what I'm saying? I might as well keep Ron. I might as well put this guy to work. If I'm gonna pay something, I might as well put him to work. However, I'm putting him to work, practice player, whatever it is.
The only thing I will say though about that theory is, and I don't think either one of them has a future on this team, in my honest opinion. But if one of them could carve out a niche, I think it would be Cornette. I don't think true. Baker has any chance. I think Cornette has an outside possibility of carving out a Steve Novak-like role on this team in the future, where I don't see Baker having any chance to carve out a role. That's the only thing I would say about those two players.
You there. Yeah, and that's probably true. That's probably true. The Knicks, they have called Cornette up from the G League, so he's been with the team for a little, a little while. They've called him up. He hasn't. I mean, he played, a couple 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or whatever it was the other night. Other than that, he hasn't done much of. He hasn't touched the floor. He was killing it down in the G League, but he hasn't really touched the floor. So I guess we'll see. We'll see where all that comes down to, man. Chris, I'm about to head off. So I just want to check with you. Who was did you have a player of the night tonight?
My player of the night tonight?
For the Knicks.
Wow. I got to think about that because they didn't play very well until the fourth quarter. That's when Frank came in.
Yeah.
But Frank probably didn't play enough minutes to get the player of the night. I'd have to think about that. Vonleh, maybe? How did Vonleh do tonight?
Let's see. Tonight, Noah Vonleh, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists.
To be honest, I didn't catch the game until the end of the third because I was working and I streamed the fourth quarter. But from what I saw, I would say Frank because I saw the fourth quarter. He was aggressive in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. I liked what I saw. I always like Dotson. I don't know what was Dotson's numbers.
Dotson tonight, 12 points. He was 50% from the field, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Decent numbers. He always has decent numbers.
I'm gonna give it. I just love Dotson. I'm gonna give it to Dotson. I love Dotson.
Okay, giving it to Dotson. And what do you think about tomorrow night versus Charlotte?
I think we're gonna lose. I always think we're gonna lose at this point. The team's not playing well. I think Fizdale. I'm not a fan of Fizdale. I know. He talks a big game. He reminds me of Rex Ryan. I said that to the guys in the chat. He talks a big game.
He does.
But so far, to me, he hasn't backed it up. And I know it's a developmental team, and I know we can't judge him on the wins and losses. But what I can judge him on is stupid substitutions that he makes, and that he's got Frank sitting on the bench for 4 games straight. I'm not a fan right now. I'm not a fan of Fizdale, and I'll be honest with you. I think he's going to be the coach for at least another year after this. But I don't know if he's the guy that's going to be the coach of this team when they get good. I don't know that.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that would probably agree with you. I think there's a lot of people that would agree.
I want to root for the guy. I like his swagger. Mm-hmm. But he reminds me a lot of Rex Ryan, where he's a lot of bark, but he doesn't back it up.
Well, I really do agree with you there. That he is early in preseason, before the season even started. There was somebody, I don't remember exactly who it was. There was someone that brought it up that he talks a lot, right? And really, really talks his guy up. People in the chat was like, "Oh, he's trying to give his guys confidence." Right? But I agreed with that person. Like, yeah, he does talk a lot, and I feel like sometimes he sells wolf tickets. Really, right? I feel like he sells wolf tickets sometimes, and I don't like that. Now, some of the things
I'm a results guy.
He's done. Yeah, some of the things he says he's gonna do, he did it, right? He said after the first, we'll have this starting lineup. We may change the starting lineup after so much. He's kind of tried to, keep up with the eat what you kill thing by benching people, but I still feel like that's a little bit hollow and it's not real because he hasn't done it the Hardaway.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I knew you were gonna say it. I'm with you now at this point. Going into the year, I was kind of lukewarm on Hardaway because I liked the kid's work ethic. He looked like he was putting on a lot of work in the offseason. But I'm completely with you right now. I can't get rid of this guy soon enough. He's the guy I dislike the most in this team. Yeah.
So, definitely, man. Hardaway, it pisses me off. Hardaway pisses me off, man. But I think Fizz. I'm with you. I feel like Fizz sells a lot of wolf tickets, man. I feel like he does. It's like,
that's not the type of coach I like. I like my coach like I like, and I don't mean to keep going back to football, but I like my coach like I like Tom Coughlin. Like I want my guy. He keeps everything in house. And he's all about results, and that is the type of coach I like. I don't like a guy that goes out there and he does all this yapping, this, that, the other thing. I haven't seen any results. And I know I'm not going to see wins, but there's been no development. The guy who's supposed to be developing the most on this team hasn't played in like 2 weeks. He finally got in the game today. And Knox, I know he got hurt, but I mean, I just feel like when I watch this team play, there's no organization on offense. I feel like I'm watching a bunch of kids playing at the playground. And I'm not a fan of Fizdale right now. It's my honest opinion.
Okay. All right. Let me get to this caller because I forgot that I had this guy on the line. He's been patient. Caller.
How's it going?
What's poppin', man? I apologize. I had you on the line for about 8 minutes, and I forgot he was there.
It's all good.
And I just seen in the chat, I think he said, pick up the phone, man. Pick up the phone. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up, man?
This is Kevon. We have went to the Wizards game before, and we went to the New York Knicks home opener in Atlanta. I'm from Columbia, Maryland.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember you. We met at the game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I'm gonna just piggyback off of Entertainer and what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm pushing the panic button, Fizz. Sim. I'm pushing the panic button.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We got a coach. We have a coach who, honestly, out of every player that should be developed, and we have, honestly, like Frank, he's a true point guard. He's a point guard's point guard.
Mm-hmm.
The guy is unselfish, and he has potential. He has physical gifts. And honestly, I gave him the benefit of the doubt sitting Frank because I thought, maybe he's getting into his head, teaching him that, he has to just be a little bit more aggressive on offense.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see him developing Frank. I see him choosing favorites. Moutier, a favorite. Tim Hardaway Jr., a definite favorite. Honestly, I'm pushing the panic button on Fizz because I think Fizz might be a liar. I think Fizz straight up might be a used car salesman who's just giving us a lot of BS. A lot of BS. And the worst part of this all, now y'all could disagree with me on how you feel about Frank. You could disagree with me on a lot of things. But if you still believe in Fizz, I have one question for you. Where is our half-court offense? Where is it? Where is our half-court offense? What are these handoffs? These handoffs never lead to, a backdoor cut. What are we doing? What are we doing? We are the only team in the NBA that seems to play AAU ball. I'm pushing the panic button. The panic button is officially launched. This is bad, Sim. Honestly, where do we go from here? Because I really thought Fizz might be the coach. He might be, somebody who was going to instill the principles of defense, instill the principles of toughness, instill the principles of just a kind of innovative offense. You want to talk about defense? Where has Dot been for the past, why was he sat? How did Dot go from a reliable, 11, 12, 15-point-a-game scorer to nothing, just going on the bench after that and disappearing after that, and then, having to work his way back into the lineup? Honestly, there's something fishy going on. I don't know if James Dolan has his hand in this somehow, some way, but something fishy's going on. And it's just horrible. Honestly, where do we go from here? I honestly have a question. Where do we go?
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Well, I mean, I think that he doesn't have a great roster. We know that. We got a lot of young players. Scott Perry, Steve Mills. They put together a lot of young guys on the squad. I'm seeing a lot of things. I'm with you about, seeing things that I don't like. And I wanted Fizz. I really did. I'm not going to lie to you at all. I wanted Fizz. I supported bringing Fizz in. I thought he was the guy. I'm still trying to support Fizz. I want to be there. I really do. I want to support him, but there are a lot of things. I do think he sells a lot of wolf tickets, right? I think he's a slick talker. He got the gift of gab. I look on the court and I'm not seeing a lot of things that I want to see as far as just developing the principles of the games. Not the games, but developing certain principles on offense, on defense, etc. But I am willing to say, okay, I'm gonna give you this time because you don't have the roster, because you're trying to, you got all these guys, you got all these ingredients, and you're trying to figure it out. I am willing to give him some time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Give him some time to see if he can figure it out. Because I do, there's just a lot of stuff here and pieces that don't mix, that don't match. We got a lot of incomplete players. And when you're looking at that, it can make any coach look pretty bad, right? When you just have just some players that aren't complete. Right, half of your players can play defense. The other half can't play defense. None of your players can really shoot that well. You got a couple of them, but a lot of them can't really shoot that well. You got young players that, they're gonna have trouble making decisions on the floor. Even if you are implementing, if you're putting some things in, they're so young they may not be able to do it the right way. So there are a lot of factors about it that make me say I gotta. There are some things that I don't like that I'm seeing, but I need to have patience. And see if when he gets the guys that, when he gets guys that really know how to play the basketball game, that's when I think we can really say, can he do it? Or does he have the right offensive style of play? Is he teaching these principles? I don't know if he is, because there are things that I don't see that I think you can teach guys of these age. But, I think we probably still have to let the pieces pan itself out still.
And, once again, like, a lot of people hate when we talk about Frank because they think that we, like, bandwagoning or we just fanboys or whatever the situation is. Frank has a play style. Like, he's a true point guard. Honestly, we don't need Fizz in the sense that, like, this year was supposed to be about development, and I would have liked to see up to this point the ball going entirely into Frank's hand and be like, hey, you orchestrate the offense. Like, let's see it. Like, let's see what he has to show. Moutier has reverted back to Moutier. Like, he's back to Dudier. Those stretch of games where he was playing pretty okay, it was fool's gold. It was 100% fool's gold. Like, clearly. I mean, do you disagree based off of, like, what you've seen? Like, I just don't understand how, just how he reverted back to.
I mean, I think that...
Yeah, he's making a few more layups. I will give him that. The hitch in Moutier's shot is a little bit better. Like, he's not shooting so much on the way down anymore. And the like interesting thing about Frank is that there was a number of games that he was shooting, like, dismally in terms of his field goal percentage. But every single shot that he took looked like, form-wise, it looked like a good shot. Like, it looked like, Frank's mechanics look pretty good, and they look like they're pretty much on target. So had Frank knocked down a few more shots, a lot of this talk would have been done. Like a lot of his benching would not have happened. Like, honestly, if he knocked down just a few more shots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. I think there's a lot. I think Moutier, I feel like Moutier's played well. Out of the 3-point guards, I think he's done the best so far. I think that I mean, I know what you're saying about, give Frank the ball and let him do it. I think he's a couple of years away from that, in my opinion. I think that he will be that guy, though, that you give him the ball and just let him orchestrate. I do think he can be that guy one day. I think he has the potential to be that guy. Will he get there? I don't know, but I think he has that potential. I don't think he's there now. Moutier definitely isn't there now. And then, we just got to... It's tough, man. It's tough. I get it, though.
He's not going to get there with Fizz. Clearly, Fizz is a guy who likes shoot first, like, players at every single position.
Yes,
at every single position. Like, honestly, Fizz is the type of guy to go to the Rucker Park and find the entire Knicks roster. Everybody who's going to just shoot and try to get their own.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, this man does not have – he doesn't care for players that are, as LeBron said, cerebral. Like, LeBron called one of our players cerebral. And that's a really big compliment. And for all you Frank haters out there, and you just kind of want to scoff at that, I mean, think about that. I mean, what players right now on the Knicks can you call cerebral? You can't even call our coach cerebral.
Well,
so we have a player that was called by one of the best players in the league cerebral. And honestly, I would have liked to give the entire, I don't know, just give the season over to Frank in the sense of, like, when you have a true point guard, it takes a special type of coach to bring it out of him. And to banish him to the doghouse and then have him kind of work his way back up the rotation is just a travesty. Like, I've watched all of the Knicks games up to this point. I did not watch tonight's game. Admittedly, did not watch tonight. This is the only game that I did not watch. And based off of what everybody else has said we were doing pretty horribly throughout the game. We were losing throughout the game, and then Frank came in and gave some energy. He plays good against the Nets. And it's just like, like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, what is this season supposed to be about if we're playing a bunch of guys who are just contractually, like, is Moutier going to stick around contractually? Like, do we really want to give Moutier $9 million, $10 million a year to stick around?
Listen, the Knicks aren't going. Well, we'll see what happens there. Hey, Kevon, man, I appreciate the call.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for waiting and holding on for me. I'm sorry I made you wait for 8 minutes. All right.
Hey, it's all good.
All right, peace,
it's all
man.
Good. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to all the haters. Shout out to all the people who are doing, who are just watching the games and rooting for the best. So
yeah. All right,
peace,
man.
y'all.
Peace. And I'm gonna make a confession. And I made this confession to Chris the other day on the phone through text. And I hate to say this. This really hurts my heart, but I think I'm coming to this realization. And it's not a good realization it's not a realization that I want to come to. But I think I'm coming to it. I think Frank Ntilikina is going to be a good player in this league. I really do. I think he's going to be a good player in this league, and we need patience. And I really do like Frank. You guys know that. I'm a big supporter of Frank. I don't think it's going to be with this team. I'm not saying he's going to get traded this year, but I don't think it's going to be with this team. I don't. I think that Frank is going to be a good player on another team. And here's why. Fizdale is here. Now, anything can happen. Fizdale is here. Exactly what Kevon said. Fizdale has a different style of play, and Frank is not suited for that style of play. Frank doesn't play that type of a game. You know what I mean? He's not that kind of player. Frank is your traditional throwback point guard, in my opinion. He's a traditional throwback point guard. I love traditional throwback type point guards. I think Fizz wants a guy that, like Kevon said, is a little bit more shoot first. Right? He wants to play that style. Frank's not going to play that style. That's not what he does. He's trying to force him to play that style. Even though, and this is why I say I feel like Fizz, those, he gives us wolf tickets, man. He said in the beginning of the year that he was going to let Frank be Frank and let Frank do him, right? And not try to force him to play a certain way. But then you sit him on the bench because he's not scoring. Not because you're saying it's hurting the team, because we're losing anyway. He's saying, he's put you on there because I want you to, I want you to be this guy that can go to the basket and da-da-da-da. I just don't think that's going to be him. I really don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's going to be that kind of a guy. He's your traditional pass first point guard that is going to methodically try to get you, into points. Not through him, but through other players on your team. I think that's his style of play. That's what he does. Right? And I don't have a problem with it. But I feel like Fizdale wants a different kind of guy. He wants, and what I think he wants is a team that is constantly putting pressure on the defense, the opposing defense, from all different angles on the floor, right? From all different positions on the floor, is putting like massive pressure on the defense. And what I feel like from putting together a team like that is, for the most part, you're going to have a low IQ team. That's just my opinion. A low IQ team that, yes, can put a lot of pressure on the defense, but when it comes down to it, and maybe they can put together, you can have a good team that is winning games, but they can't get over the hump because they don't have the basketball IQ with that type of a team. That's just what I think. I can very well be wrong. I think you need to have a couple of cerebral players out there, some guys out there that can really, Alwyn Dwart, no. Golden State, they're not low IQ, but they got a guy on the floor called Draymond Green who can really facilitate the offense and be the glue guy and can do all those little things, the things that a lot of Knicks fans don't seem to appreciate. All right? So, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. And I'm not saying that about Golden State. We're not Golden State. No team in the league is Golden State. Okay? So, put it there. Right? But, that's what I think, though. I mean, bottom line, I think that he's going to be a good player in this league. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be a good player on a good team, down the line. But I don't think it's going to be in New York. Not if it's under Fizz. Not if it's under Fizz. I think Fizz wants a different type of a player. And I'm not sure that Frank is going to be that player. We'll see. We'll see if that's we'll see how it works out. But, we'll see how it works out. That's just what I think. I'm going to come around to the group, man. I'm coming around to the group. BN, did you have a player of the game tonight?
We're playing pretty good.
Hey, BN, can you hear me? Not sure you can hear me.
Yeah.
Hey, BN, you there?
Yo.
What's going on, man? Did you have a player of the game tonight for the Knicks?
I'd probably say Frank. He did really well. The crowd was cheering him on towards the end. Or not towards the end, even in the third quarter. But I have to give it to him. He came back, and I think Fizdale's doing it for a reason. I think he wants him to just, he knows it's a throwaway season, so he's going to let him sit. Make sure that he understands that he needs to come out aggressive when they give him a chance. And that's what he did. And hopefully he keeps doing it.
Yeah. I hope so. And I agree with you. I'm giving it to Frank, too, because I just like that, he stayed with it. He came out and he played a decent game. And I'm a little bit different than other people, man. I don't think that Frank did anything this game that he hasn't done in other games. He just made shots.
I agree. Honestly, I think Frank's been playing well the whole season. And,
everyone, every time Frank's it just cracks me up. Every time he makes shots, people say he played more aggressive, but I didn't see him do anything I did see him play maybe a little bit faster. Like Viv said, he played maybe a little bit faster, got the offense started a little bit faster. But I didn't see that he did anything that was any more aggressive than any other time besides make a couple of shots. So That's about it. That's about it. Your take on Charlotte and New York?
I don't know. Hopefully we compete and we take them to the end. And I just hope that Fizdale, I feel like he learns his lesson, and then he always goes back to his old lineup of Trey and Timmy and all this. I just hope he learns and he puts those guys that he put out, maybe throw Vonleh in there and put him out on the court to start, and keeps that starting lineup for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And I do want to respond to a couple of people in the chat. They say, just because a team pushes the tempo, is fast paced, that means they're low IQ. That's not what I'm saying, right? And people want to compare and talk about Golden State. Golden State is a high IQ basketball team, right? So they know how to play. They can mix up. They can go full speed. They can go half court. They can do it all because they're a high IQ team. But when you look at their team, though, right, they share the basketball. They put pressure on you by sharing the basketball, not just by, running it down your throat. They play differently offensively. They play differently than a lot of teams in the NBA. Teams are trying to do what they do, right? They put pressure on you because of the way that they move the ball, not because they're doing what Russell Westbrook does, right? I feel like Fizz wants guys that puts pressure on you like Russell Westbrook does, like Alonzo Trier does. And the problem with that, to me, is that when you get a bunch of guys, listen, Tim Hardaway, he puts pressure on the defense. He's not entirely accurate. Right? He's not efficient, but he puts pressure on you because he'll get the ball on the fast break and just run it up the floor. He puts some pressure on you. Alonzo Trier puts pressure on you. He's more efficient than Tim Hardaway Jr. Right? Trey Burke, he'll put some pressure on you. I wouldn't say that those three guys are high IQ players. There's players in the NBA that can put pressure on you. But I feel like he wants from all spots on the floor guys that can just really, really put pressure on you by attacking. Guys that grow up playing that way. I'm sorry, people can say what they want. I have played basketball in all different types of scenarios and places. Guys that just put pressure. In the end, it's hard for them to get it done because they've never slowed themselves down to really understand the game and see the game at a slower pace. And so they get used to just putting pressure on the defense. And when it comes down to having to really think the game, they can't because they haven't done it. Not that they're stupid, they just haven't done it. And it takes time to learn it. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
The Golden State Warriors, they put pressure on you in a different type of way. Famous, exactly. And that's what matters. Right, and like Famous is saying, that's what matters in a playoff time. You can't always put pressure on you like that because it's not going to be there. The game slows down. You got to be able to think it. You got to be able to strategize. You got to be able to actually play the game. You know what I'm saying? The Warriors are a different breed. They put pressure on you, but they put pressure on you because they move the ball at such a pace. And I'm not talking about pace where which team takes the most shots. I'm not talking about that kind of pace. I'm talking about pace, the speed at which the ball moves around the perimeter and finds the open man. I'm talking about that kind of pace. And that puts pressure on you because they got guys that can hit shots from all over the floor, right? And they put pressure on you by swinging the ball, moving the ball, cutting hard, screening hard, and then hitting the open man. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of pressure that I'm talking about. They put pressure on the defense, but not just by penetrating to the basket. They put pressure on you by the way that they move the ball. And your defense is like, we got to move. If we don't move, we're going to get burnt. You know what I'm saying? But Ralph Petito, you said, yes, sir, kind of like the Suns with Nash. Yeah, kind of like that. They did put a lot of pressure on you with the way that they spread the ball. Guys would attack and kick. But when it came down and the game slowed down and it got tight, they couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't do it. And I just feel like, you know, as long as Fizz is here, Frank may be a good player someplace else, man. I hate to say it because that's my guy. That's my dude. But I feel like that could happen because I don't think Fizz, I'm not sure if Fizz appreciates his style. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. You know what I'm saying? Let me come to Viv. Viv, you have a player of the game for tonight and Knicks versus Charlotte. What do you think?
Okay, so my player of the game is Frank, and only because, like we had mentioned earlier, he set the tone for the last 16 minutes of the game. Even though he didn't win, he was one of the reasons that the team just played a lot harder. They played a lot more tenacious, and he set the rhythm there. So I give it to him. Ignore the stat lines. I mean, the stat line doesn't look that bad. He got 3 assists in 16 minutes. He had, he got a 3 for the first time in almost, I don't know. Yes, it's been probably been forever. Almost been maybe 2 weeks, maybe since he lasted a 3-point shot. We got to check that out now. So that, and yeah, he set the energy. Now Charlotte. Look, Charlotte's a tough team, in my opinion. The question is, who will stop Kemba, and how early will Fizz go to the bench unit? Because if our team comes into tomorrow's game and plays the same type of level of defense that they played tonight, then we were lucky to keep this game competitive. But if we bring that same level of energy or lack thereof into tomorrow's game, then we're going to be in deep trouble. And Kemba will make us pay. I thought there were times in this game that we should have been down 20 plus, and the Nets, they had the opportunities that they just blew it. They're whether it's turnovers or just trying to take a bad shot or whatever, but they just killed us by driving into the paint and just finding 3-point shooters back and forth and back and forth. And one thing about Kemba Walker is that guy can get buckets, and he can destroy us. You just have a simple pick and roll. He will just get shots off easy. So he'll make us pay.
Yeah. Kemba's killing it this year so far. He's killing this year. All right, let me get to Isaiah, man, and we've been on for 2.5 hours. I'm about to jump up out of here. Isaiah.
Hey, what's up, Sim?
I'm chilling, man.
Hey, can I say something to you quick? Why don't you say what you got to say? Give me who your player of the game was for the night. Prediction: Knicks versus Charlotte, and then last words. We can start heading out. I get everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what you said about Frank, I was listening, and it scares me a little bit because I don't want to. Because I see the future with the Knicks, and I see Frank as a championship piece, and I don't want to give that up. But I think you might be right. He might not be with us because. And I was telling Viv and BN and them about the point guard that Fizz wants might not be Frank. The way he's looking, he wants a Moutier type. He wants a Moutier type of point guard, which is pretty much drive, no defense, drive, kick, assist. I mean, I'm not a big fan of that, but it is what it is. I think Frank would go on a team like the Spurs, or maybe when the Suns get good, he'll be a blossoming point guard that will actually be what they want. And then we're going to look and be like, wow, we had a Frank Ntilikina, but then we gave him up. And then we got to go back to the good old days of having a point guard that plays no defense and has every point guard that under the sun dropped their career highs against us, because I remember that. That was only a few years ago. So, that's a repeat cycle that I thought we finally took care of because we got Frank who plays defense and does it, but
nope. I guess Isaiah's gone. Gone. All right. Guess he's gone. All right, man. I'm gonna go ahead. Let you guys get your last words in. Viv, if you wanna start us off, and I'm gonna come to BN, and then me and Entertainer chop it up a little bit. This your last words on the night, Viv?
Yeah, it's all about defense in the end of the day. Everyone says the defense, optional league nowadays. But, if you play defense, you're just going to get a lot better look on offense. So bring that defensive energy.
Yeah. Of course, bringing the defensive energy. That's, I don't know. We're one of the worst defenses in the league right now. So I don't know if we're bringing in. I don't know. I'm not sure, man.
It seems like lack of effort more than anything else. So.
But something always leads into lack of effort. So we'll see if we can have a better performance tomorrow night. I mean, sometimes some nights it's going to be like that, and you might have a couple of them in a row. We'll see if we can. If he can fire up the troops and bring them back tomorrow night.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right, Viv.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll catch you tomorrow night, man. Peace.
Okay, all right, peace. Good night.
BN? Last words, man.
Last words. I gotta say, man, I like what I saw from Knox, and I've been thinking the whole season, because he showed a lot of it in the summer league. I think the whole season, I'm waiting for him to really use the tools he has, his length, those long strides, and he's got a shot. So he has a lot of good tools, and I'm seeing some of it now. And he, a couple of times where he really went aggressive right to the rim, and I like what I see, man. And I think we need to put more emphasis on him, not have him come off the bench and play Hazonia. Okay, even if we start Hazonia, which I hate that decision, we got to put Knox in a position to be the number one guy, maybe in the second team, away from Timmy, and let's see what he can do, because I think he could be a go-to scorer. But you got Timmy hauling all these 30-foot threes all the time. Like I think we need to put the emphasis on him, and I love the fact that Fizz played the second year and the rookies all in one, and he said, it's just like, this is the only reason why I watch, is because these younger players are showing some promise. Dotson can play both sides. He's a two-way player. Frankie's going to get there. And Vonleh and Knox and Mitchell, so we'll see. I think he needs to put an emphasis on those guys rather than, some of these trashy players on the bench, man. I can't stand some of these other players, man. I can't. I know I'm gonna get slack for Moutier, and Moutier's not gonna be in the NBA in 2 years. And with Trey, same thing. And with Baker, same thing. And even Tim Hardaway, if he doesn't get his act straight, good luck to the team he has him, because like Carmelo. I mean, listen, Carmelo's better than Tim Hardaway still, I think, but Carmelo, nobody wants him right now, and I doubt many teams are going to be like, oh yeah, Tim Hardaway Jr., come on, play for us,
right,
shooting under 40%.
Right. Oh yeah. No, not at all. Not at all. And that's why he's probably going to be stuck with us for a while.
I hope not.
Yeah. All right, BN, man. I appreciate it. I'll see you on tomorrow night.
All right, man. See you.
All right, peace. Entertaining, man.
What's poppin', Tim?
Chilling. Just trying to deal with my frustration over these Knicks.
Yeah, that's why I called in, because I got home from work. I mean, I work nights, but I was watching it on my phone. I was watching that they still hadn't. As I said earlier, I'm down on Ntilikina right now, but I also am of the belief that he has to develop. And I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, this guy's not going to put him in for a fourth straight game. And then I get home, and he finally put him in at the end of the third. And I'm really down on Fizdale right now. I really am. I heard Kavan, I think his name was the guy who called it. That was a great call. One thing he said that I actually thought of when he said it, he was bringing up all the good points about Frank, and I agreed with some of them. I disagreed with others. But one thing he said was that he's very cerebral, the compliment that LeBron gave him. And I'm thinking to myself as he's saying it, I'm like, to me, that's part of Frank's problem, that he sometimes is too cerebral, where he overthinks things. Mm-hmm. So that was just one thing I thought of when he was talking. I'd like to see sometimes Frank, and you're right, tonight I noticed it when I was watching the game, and he does do it. He has done it more this year, where he does he does attack the basket more than people give him credit for, but sometimes he thinks too much. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, that's one thing I was thinking during that call.
Yeah, he's attacking. Sometimes he's attacking and he's looking to who can I find when the shot's there for him. Sometimes he's that way. Sometimes he's on a fast break and he has guys running with their backs to him and he could go straight line to the basket, but he's looking to see who he can get the ball to. Right. So, yeah, sometimes he is overthinking. But like I said, that text that I sent to you, I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, you did. I was actually busy at work. I forgot to respond to you. But, I saw the text. And by the way, one day, I don't know if you – I think we got to get working on this website, Sam.
Yes, we do. We got to get it. We got to get it. It's going to be great, too. We got to get it. I mean, actually, I can – we can start building it before we even, get the domain and all that. We can already start building it. Kind of letting the cat out the bag to everyone, but yeah.
I probably shouldn't have said that.
Nah, that's cool. Nah, it don't matter. That's cool. They're going to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really have that feeling, though, that Frank will, turn into a good NBA player, but not with the Knicks.
I kind of agree with you. I'm still not sold on him. I'm going to be honest. I'm sold on him as an NBA player. I think he's going to have a purpose on a team strictly because of his defense. His defense is that good. The only thing with his defense that sometimes, and he's young, so he's gonna learn. But he does get those cheap fouls. He's got to learn not to do that. But overall, his defense is top notch. Mm-hmm. So that is why he will always have a job in the league, no matter how bad he is as an offensive player, because you'll be able to stick him in for 20 minutes and say, shut this guy down, and he's going to be able to do it. So he, at worst, I think he could be maybe a slightly worse version of Marcus Smart at worst. So he's always going to have a role in this league. It's just a matter of can he develop on the offensive end. We haven't seen it yet. And I'm discouraged by it because he's, in my opinion, he's actually regressed this year on the offensive end.
I think that he will. I mean, when I look at it, he doesn't have a broken shot. A lot of defensive guys do, right? I mean, just do have, they don't have the
mechanics like Kavan was saying.
Things.
But when he was saying that, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, there's a lot of players who didn't have the best mechanics. One guy that I thought off the top of my head was Sean Marion. That guy had the ugliest looking shot I've ever seen. But you know what? He got the job done. So mechanics don't mean much to me. Put the ball in the basket.
They don't mean everything. But I think he has the mechanics to be a good shooter. It's going to take that work and it's going to take that practice. To get there. I think that he can do it. I mean, we we've seen tonight. He can penetrate. He can get into the lane. I mean, he can do it. That's another one of the reasons why when people say talk about the G League, I'm like, I mean, I see that he can do it. He's just got to change. He's just got to have the mindset to do it more often. But I just don't think that. I don't know. I don't think that. I think Fizz wants a different kind of guy.
You know what the problem is, and I'm guilty of it too. The Knicks have been bad for so long that we just want to see them get good and have sustained success. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for this fan base to be like, I'm going to wait for this guy to figure it out for 4 or 5 years. It is hard to sit back where if he was on a team like, I don't know, the Warriors, and he could sit and learn for 3 or 4 years and he doesn't have that pressure. But here in New York, where we have sucked really, in my opinion, since the Ewing days. We've had a couple of good years with Houston and Sprewell. We had one good year with Carmelo, but where we've been good for 5 or 6 years, it's been that long. So it is hard for me to sit back and be like, I'm going to wait for this guy to get good at shooting the basketball. I'm going to wait 5 years. It's hard for me to do that.
Yeah, I get it.
He's in a bad environment.
I get that. I definitely understand it. I mean, we'll I guess we have some time to see what happens, but it just in my heart, I feel like it's gonna happen someplace else. Kind of like it's just gonna happen someplace else. I think there's just little things that I see that says, I'm not saying he's gonna be an all-star player. I see some people say he's gonna be a Hall of Famer. I think he's going to be a pretty good player. I just don't think it's going to be with us. Not as long as Fizz is here, because I just think he wants a different style of player. A style that I'm not as happy about having. I like guys that can have a mix of being cerebral and like know when to attack, know when to think the game plan through. Guys like that. I think that he can develop. He can develop to be that guy because he has the tools. I don't like guys that just attack because I feel like when it comes
that's Trey Burke.
Yeah, and when it comes time to settle down, I don't feel like they've had enough practice settling down that they know what to do. And their natural instinct is to just attack, and then sometimes it doesn't work. So we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. We got a lot of time left to this season, so see what happens.
We got right now though. What I'm looking forward to right now as a Knicks fan, I'm looking forward to the trade deadline to see if we can get rid of some of these contracts to free up some space. And then at the end of the year, of course, you're looking forward to seeing the unicorn come back. That's right now what I'm looking forward to. I want to see Porzingis back on the court. I want to see him healthy. And of course, then you're looking about the ping pong balls. You're hoping we get the first pick this year because at this point, I think you and I both know we're not going to the playoffs. So. And of course we want to see the puppies continue to get good. And unfortunately, Fizdale's not allowing that to happen with Frank the last couple of games. And I hope he puts him back in the lineup because we have to see him play. And if he doesn't, I'm of the belief put him to the G League. But if he's here, he has to play.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you.
Say about that. But I just wanted to come on tonight. I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to talk to the Knicks fans. So I had a great time talking to Isaiah, Viv. BN was funny. All those guys in the chat I had a great time.
Yeah, and guys, make sure if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Entertainer's channel. He's like live on almost every day. So right, so make sure you jump in. I'm sure you're gonna be live tomorrow for the Giants game.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the Giants. By the way, if you want to come on, I don't know what your schedule is. If you want to even come on for the pregame, you're more than welcome to. I always support your channel whenever I do the Knicks stream. But if you want to come on for the pregame of the Giants game, you're more than welcome.
Yeah,
I don't know what your schedule is.
Well, at 10:15, I got a basketball game at 10:15, and then I'm not sure exactly what my wife has planned after that. But I'll see what's going on. I'll send you a text or something.
Yeah. But I'll be I'm gonna have the Giant game tomorrow. I'm actually going on. CP actually asked me to come on his show tomorrow for the Knicks, so I'm gonna go on his after the game and talk with him for a little bit. And so I'm doing that I've never been on his channel, so I'm gonna do that. Mm-hmm. And that's what I got going on right now. I'm doing my Met show, which you're always welcome to come on too. I started that this week. But yeah, that's it. That's what I got going on my channel.
All right, man. All right. Well, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, man. I had a great time on the show, man. Have a good night, and Knicks family, cheer up a little bit.
Right,
we have better roads ahead.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, later, man.
All right, have a good night.
Knicks family, there it is. New York, Charlotte tomorrow. I think we lose. I don't think we're not gonna have an answer for Kemba. I think we lose tomorrow. I don't know if it's gonna be a blowout, but I don't think we're gonna win. That's just that. I will catch you tomorrow. I should be able to do a pregame tomorrow. Pregame, halftime, and postgame. We've been on for 3 hours. I thank y'all for sticking in there with me. You know what I mean? It's been a really good show. We had a really good time. Thank you to Michelle Trier, Lonzo Trier's aunt, for coming on to the show. Hopefully she, jumps in the chat maybe tomorrow night. We can say hi to her once again. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm out for the night. Have a good weekend if I don't see you tomorrow. Peace.